Welcome, sir. Architect Abiola Akinola, the ACON representative here present, Architect Abiola Akinola. Our speaker all the way from the University of Jos, Architect Professor Evelyn Kagum. Welcome, welcome, ma. I'd also like to recognize Architect Fausat Ibikunle. Does not need any introduction, all the same. Welcome. Representing the Speaker of the House of Representatives, that's Honorable Tajuddin Abbas, I'd like to acknowledge Dr. Awal Mustafa Imam, the DG Nihilist, DG and Chief Executive Officer Nihilist. Welcome, sir. Thank you so much for making it. The Chair of Plateau State Nigerian, the Institute of Architects of Plateau State Chapter, Architect Shegun Olukoya. Welcome. The Chair of Nigerian Institute of Architects, Kaduna State Chapter, Katsina State Chapter, Architect Kamaluddin Dairu, FNIA. Another of our highly distinguished architects nationally, Architect Nasiru Aboki of DINAC. And appropriately seated next to him, Architect Ibrahim Mahmoud. The President of the Society of Landscape Architects of Nigeria, Dr. Amos Alao. You are welcome, sir. Dr. Amos Alao. The representative of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, Engineer Inyam SS. You're welcome. Architect Mary Dassat of EDGE. Architect Mary Dassat is a permanent fixture at our KADAF programs. Architect Hadiza El Rufai. You're welcome, ma. Thank you so much for making it here. Architect Matthew Ruwan, one of our senior architects here in Kaduna. Architect Matthew Ruwan. Architect Kabir, senior architect.
Royal Father, as he comes in. Can we be upstanding, please? Thank you very much. Please sit. Your Royal Highness, you're welcome into our midst. Thank you very much for gracing this occasion. I was just starting my speech talking about leaning on existing protocols and saying that I would still like to recognize very specially some of our members that I haven't seen in a long time that are attending KADAF 3.0. Let me first of all welcome very specially those I call the people in my entourage, members of the Strategic Committee and Council of the NIA, who are here with me to grace this very special occasion of KADAF 3.0. I'd like to recognize very specially Architect Gokiomi Bodun, representing Vice President 3 Ali Mukhtar, and also himself as the National Treasurer. Thank you very much for support. I'd like to recognize the chapter chairs that are seated. Architect Shegun Olukoya, all the way from Plateau. Please stand up for recognition again. Thank you for supporting Madam President all the time. Architect Kamal, if he's not seated, he must be looking out for his camels. Usually he comes by camel from Katsina. Architect Kamal all the way from Katsina, thank you for your support all the time. Also, of course, the host, my very able, supportive, amiable chapter chair, Architect Steve Filia. I'm trying to say it right. Filia. Thank you very much. All members of council, please, who are here, if I have not called your name, can you please stand for recognition? Council members of the Nigerian Institute of Architects. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I was going to recognize you very specially. Architect Musa Sada, former Minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, senior and astute architect, a very dependable personality, a strong support in the Nigerian Institute of Architects. I thought you'd be clapping by now. When you talk about consistency and dependability and forthrightness, standing strong, support, Architect Musa Sada. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. When they were talking about architects being humble, that's an example. You would never know the important positions he's taken in this country, yet he would humbly follow and support his president and, of course, the Nigerian Institute of Architects. And I also want to warmly recognize in our midst the representative of ARCOM President, Architect Sadipo Ajayi. You are well recognized, Architect Abiola. Then permit me to go to two very special ladies. These ladies, let me tell you a secret. They're still talking, chit-chatting. We were in Zaria together, and this is how they were throughout, from year 1 to year 5. Let me specially recognize the former First Lady, Architect El Rufai. Please. Always supportive of the Institute. Thank you very much. And of course, our former National Treasurer, Architect Fausat Ibikunle. Thank you very much. It's so nice to see the two of you together. You have always been like this. Should I tell them the year? Since 1976. No, 78. I'm still counting. Good to see both of you. And of course, when I come to Kaduna, I know that I come to see the very seasoned, old senior members of the Institute who sit and stand tall, not only in NIA, but in the profession of architecture. Thank you for representing us very well. Architect Greg Icha, thank you very much. And my dear senior seated beside him, thank you very much. I recognize you all. Now I want to go to the most special group here, and you wonder why. All the student architects in the house. Great architecture students. What happened to us? Don't be shy. Great architecture students. Maybe ABU students are not here. Great architecture students. Great architecture students. Thank you very, very much for being here. You are the future. And that's why I always make sure I celebrate you. And the president of the National Association for Architecture Students, who is here, Architect Ramlat, thank you for doing a wonderful job. Well done. And of course, giving kudos to the seniors in the house, I would like all the fellows of the Nigerian Institute of Architects to please stand up for recognition. Architect Diabu, all the fellows, please, 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 let us celebrate our fellows. Thank you very much for coming. I recognize every single one of you. Don't let me just call names. Everybody here is so, so special. Coming into Kaduna yesterday, there was a feeling of nostalgia that came over me. Kaduna for me is home, and I like to say it all the time. Many people do not know that for the first few years of my life, I lived here in Kaduna. I lived on Degel Road, and I believe Degel Road is still looking very nice, not far from the golf course, not too far from the teaching hospital where my dad was working at that time. Beautiful city, Kaduna. And when I drove in from the airport yesterday, I was glad to see that Kaduna is still looking beautiful, thanks to the government, former government, and particularly our dear sister, Architect Fausat, in the house. Thank you very much for keeping Kaduna very, very nice. So when I came in, I said, for the time I'm here, I would like to change my name. So it is no more Architect Mobolaji Adeola Adeniyi. Standing before you is proudly Architect Sa'adatu Adeniyi. Is it approved? Thank you very much. So distinguished guests, esteemed architects, and members of the Kaduna State Chapter of the Nigerian Institute of Architects, I'm really honored to address the KADAF event, KADAF 3.0. When did it start? And see how it's growing. And this year it's themed Building a Resilient Future, Architecture, Risk and Sustainability in Kaduna. How so apt? When you look at the way our cities face so much in terms of natural and even unnatural events threatening the environment, you know that this theme is apt and it resonates deeply with the challenges and opportunities facing our profession and our society. As we gather, I recall the recent World Architecture Day, celebrated on October 6, 2025, with the theme, Design for Strength. And that is how we need to design now. Design for strength. This theme underscores our role as architects to design for resilience and sustainability, aligning with our Unite agenda. Kaduna State Government's development strides, such as investments in infrastructure, urban renewal, and economic growth initiatives, underscore the importance of our role as architects. As key custodians of the built environment, we must further engage with government and stakeholders to shape a resilient future. By integrating innovative design, sustainable practices, and risk management strategies, we can enhance Kaduna's urban landscape, promote economic growth, and improve quality of life. Our profession's impact is crucial in addressing challenges like climate change, urbanization, and infrastructural deficits. I'm particularly delighted by the sustenance of KADAF and its growing impact among government, the public, and stakeholders in the built environment sector. This reflects the increasing recognition of architects' value in shaping our built environment. And let me especially recognize the efforts of the Kaduna Chapter Chair, Architect Steve Filia, who has been going around doing a lot of advocacy to ensure that architects are well recognized and are given the opportunity of doing their job in the built environment. I extend to him my warmest congratulations, not just to him, the entire team that put up this very impactful conference. Your tenure has been truly impactful, and I want to congratulate you for it. The visibility and relevance given to NIA under his watch reflect the spirit of the Unite agenda. No wonder we see in our midst not only the young architects, but we also see the older architects sitting solidly, standing strong with him. This spirit of the Unite agenda shows us that unity, inclusion, empowerment, collaboration, and non-negotiable integrity are the skills that we need to make our institute strong. Let's leverage our expertise at this conference to drive positive change, foster resilience, and promote a sustainable future for Kaduna and beyond. And so, distinguished guests, particularly those who are joining us from different professions, esteemed architects, members of the Kaduna State Chapter, and all seated here, with these few words, I would like to declare open KADAF 3.0. Thank you very much. Servant of ceremony. It's the first time I'm hearing that phrase. So I hand over to the servant of ceremony.
Thank you very, very much. Please help me put your hands together again for her. Thank you so very much. Architect Daruda. Do I have those who will help me stand as she takes her seat?
Thank you very much. Our president is moving presidentially, of course. Thank you so much. A round of applause as she takes her seat. A round of applause. Thank you so much for that inspiring and extremely uplifting speech. I hope I do not miss the name. Our president, Saadatu, I believe. Yes. Please, people, everybody should take note. I would like to recognize the presence, very appropriately, of the incoming president, Architect Ishtam Sani Saulawa. Architect Sani Saulawa is right there. Kindly rise to be recognized. Okay. Just a slight correction. It's really might be a very big minus to mention the president without what should follow. It is actually Architect Saadatu Sa Armata. So everybody should take note of that. Thank you very much. We want to recognize the presence of our royal father, representing the Emir of Zazzau, Architect Haruna Abubakar Bamali, Barde Kerariya Zazzau, District Head of Basawa. Thank you very much, Your Royal Highness. Thank you very much. Also, we'd like to recognize here representative of the Quantity Survey, yes, Dr. Bukola Aluko Oloku. Dr. Bukola Aluko Oloku. Thank you very much. And as we go on, this will be a continuous exercise because we have such personalities as Architect Bulus Drambi Kwada within our premises, within our presence. Architect Bulus Drambi, kindly rise to be acknowledged. Architect Ayuba Natsa. Architect Ayuba Natsa, you might recall him from KADAF 2.0. He added a lot of extra to the program. Architect Hassan Uba Ahmad, one of our veteran architects, retired but obviously very, very active. Architect Abdullahi Saidu Bello, Architect Abdullahi Saidu Bello. Present here, I'm sure. It would be nice for you to acknowledge. Yes. Yes.
As I always say, I always learn. I've learned another one again today. You know, when you hear about the royal father, first thing that comes to your mind is someone who's really very, very old and probably leaning on the staff and shaky. That one is out of the question. And then you hear of someone who probably is a farmer, tired looking and staying in the village. But I just learned another one today, that our royal father today is an architect. Please help me put your hands together for him. I greet you, sir. Well, we'll be making some adjustments to the program that we have. I will go in straight to our main lecture. We call it main lecture 1 if you have the program. It's going to be on sustainability and circular economy, rethinking urban design and reducing construction waste in Kaduna. And this is going to be delivered by architect Professor Evelyn Alu Kankum, FNIA, Department of Architecture, University of Jos. Help me with a standing ovation. Welcome her to the platform. Please keep clapping until she gets here. Keep clapping until she gets here. And I must let you know that she was one of our early birds. She got here so on time. Thank you so much for coming. Welcome to the podium.
Not northern Nigeria in those days. So Kaduna, whatever happens in Kaduna has a ripple to whatever will happen in the country. And so, because it is a fast-growing city with the challenges of urban development and design, we find that a lot of waste is generated. And it is not just for Kaduna, but globally, construction waste is said to have contributed about 40% of global waste. So it means this is a very serious matter for us to tackle. And now, what is sustainability? Because even the circular economy is hinged onto sustainability. And the general understanding that we have in sustainability is that whatever current development that we are doing, they must not compromise on the future generations, the ability, capacity to be able to enhance their own development. And then the circular economy itself, it has principles or models that focuses on eliminating waste and promoting continuous reuse of resources in all urban systems. So you can see the connection. And then what are those urban challenges that we have? The urban challenges, particularly in Kaduna and other urban cities, is causing a lot of environmental and infrastructural challenges that require sustainable solutions to tackle them. I wish my slides are ready so that we can go along so you will see what we are doing. And at the end of the day, what are the goals and the application in urban design that we are going to be looking at? So we are going to be looking at the application of sustainable and circular economy principles or models in creating resilience, efficiency, and eco-friendly urban spaces. So we are able to adopt circular economy because of the challenges, like I said earlier, of unsustainable practices within the design and then the processes and the practices within the built environment. And when we talk about design, we know we're talking about the architect. And when we talk about other processes and other construction, we know that other allied professionals are also with us. So it's not a one professional thing. So we'll even get to see later how these different professionals need to come together. So what do we do? In applying circular urban design, we're able to move forward and ensure that our designs are mindful of the end product. So it must be rooted in regenerative materials, reuse, and resource efficiency in all that we do in our design. And so that at the end of the day, we minimize or do away with waste completely. And so we discover that what has been happening before now is what we call traditional or linear design and construction. So, but in circular economy, what we bring to place is that it is shifting away from that traditional processes that you just acquire, you use, and you discard. But in circular economy, its application allows you to sustainably acquire, employ, ensure that this design and the processes and the construction activities are not just sustainable, but that they give you room for sustainable way of sourcing those materials and then their application. And at the end of the day, it is not going to waste. It will either go to reuse, or you change, or recycle, or regenerate. So those are the kind of ideas that we have, and that is the relationship between what was and what is and what we're expected to do. So in urban design, what circular economy does is that it ensures that buildings are designed for longevity, for material reuse, and for waste in design application from inception, that's from the start to finish. And at the end of the day, the projects or the infrastructures that you are able to design and produce are not to add to the problem that we have and the challenges of the built environment as far as urban design is concerned by producing more waste. So in circular economy, we will ensure that the urban design also takes care of what we call material passports. And in material passports, what do? We ensure that the digital records of materials that we use are ensured so that these facilities are able to be reused or to be put to other uses. And what other thing can we do? We said modular construction. So during the construction, you ensure that whatever is going to go into a structure, it's not assembled on site, but you have it off-site and you just bring those units. And because it is produced off-site, you discover that manufacturers are business people. So they don't think of waste. Whatever piece or whatever off-cuts that they get, they put it to other use. So you kind of encourage what is going on the site. You just give your dimensions, you give your specifications, and you have them produce. So by the time they come to site, you just assemble. So you can see there's little or no waste being produced with that. And then, of course, it will speed up the timing for your construction. And another thing that we keep talking about is the adaptive reuse. And then you repurpose existing structures into other uses. And so you are able to move on. Unfortunately, most of our design or constructions are traditional or linear in nature. So when we are talking about sustainable urban design strategies, what are those things that we look at? We look at how to optimize the design and construction stages. We look at how to optimize the flow, materials flows, and we look at how we rethink our infrastructure. So during design, it's not designing as usual, but that you are rethinking because you now have idea of what circular economy will do and what it will not do, how it will help you. So you're already thinking before you even go into its construction. And then strengthen the policies of environmental activities. When you are able to do that, we're going to look at each of these separately, and then you drive collaborations and education. Very important, like what we are doing today is part of the education that is required to ensure that people understand what is expected of them. So when we are optimizing design and construction, what are we looking at? We want to ensure that our building design is flexible so that the spaces are also adaptable for future use. And you could convert a commercial to residential, you could convert residential to commercial or to educational facilities. So that because of the flexibility that you have thought about during your design. And the second thing you consider in optimizing design and construction is that you engage the digital design tools that are available. Sometimes you don't even know that they are there. And then you kind of make sure that these tools, even though they are international standards, you contextualize them so that for instance, we could have one for Nigeria, which I know there's one that is being operated upon now, but you can bring it as low as what are the indices for Kaduna in specific terms. Because in Nigeria, Nigeria is a very broad country. So you have different climatic conditions in Nigeria. So you specify for this area, for that area, and we're going to also look at more on that. And then the material passports that we talk about, so it's going to ensure that you have digital records for reuse and for disassembly. You know, sometimes, probably you had done a structure, and government said, this area is supposed to be green area. And if you are not careful, because you didn't engage circular economy in your design, it's going to go into demolition. And the landfill will be filled. Even health-wise, the dust from demolition, houses around, people around will be affected. So health challenges will be created apart from the environmental pollution, apart from the eyesores that you see when you are passing by structures that have been demolished. But once you are able to have a material passport, or you have your modular members of your structure, you discover that you just disassembly them and move to the next place where you have a plot where the permit allows you to have that kind of structure. So you just disassembly them and move your structure elsewhere. So that is what circular economy help us to do in terms of optimizing our material so they don't go into waste. So how do we now rethink infrastructure? You ensure green and blue infrastructures are put in place. Like we always say, green roof is not just the color of the roofing materials that should be green, but that you engage and encourage and make sure that you have green in terms of green. You use your roof to harvest, you use your roof to balance the ecosystem by having plants. So those are the kind of things that you are expected to do. And wetlands, and then passive cooling. You can even cool your building with the use of your roof once it is green. And we say we can even harvest rainwater into different purposes. That is a topic on its own. And then we have sustainable drainage systems. Okay? So you kind of allow for permeable pavings. You know what? The natural thing, you go around, you see every space in your house, in your office, they are all paved. So when there's a sudden flash floods, which are increasing by the day here in Nigeria now, you discover that you are stuck. Instead of the water to have a natural drain, it will either go into the building, it will either destroy, maybe you've parked a car and things like that. So it allows a lot of corrosion to take place, and it is not good for us. And so we need to have also natural water purification when we harvest this rainwater. And then we can also look at waste to resource facilities. In this, you can recycle demolition waste, like crushed concrete. You can use them as fillers. You can use them to level maybe certain areas that you have within your house, and then you take advantage of whatever digital tools you have that will help you. Okay, so we are moving now. So there's a strong relationship between circular economy and the sustainable development goals. We know that the sustainable development goals are 17, but I can assure you only 5 of them do not relate to the topic of today. So that tells you how important that is. Can we look at slide 13, please? No, 13, you go back, please. Yes. So, yeah, no, the one before this. So you can see that the Sustainable Development Goals, you can see that there are 12 of them that directly relate. So you see the strong connections. So you see why it is important that we have this circular economy in our mind during our urban design activities. And so, because of that, we must mandate that wastes are not just left like that, but that you require major projects and you have to finance incentives. You know, sometimes when we have projects, even for communities, if you don't sensitize people or you give incentives, you find out that it is for their good, but they won't be participants because probably it was not inclusive. And sometimes when you reward compliance, you find that other people will key into it. So those are the kind of things we are looking at in terms of incentives. So we also want to have context-specific standards. Like I had mentioned before, we kind of localize green building ratings to ensure that they are compliant with our own climatic conditions, with our own environment. And at the same time, the codes that are available needs to be reversed to include this, which is missing in the existing codes, so that we can promote modular and sustainable materials usage. Okay, so how do we drive collaborations and education, being one of the strategies that we want to take? Okay, so we say stakeholders must be engaged, whether it is government, industries, or communities. Informal structures, they must be engaged in what we are doing. And because they are engaged, they tend to have the knowledge of where you're going to and why you are doing what you are doing. Even though it is informal setting, it will help you to achieve that goal that you have set out for. And we're talking about training programs for students at all levels. And it helps you to know that these students, right from the time that they're students, they're able to know what circular design is all about, green technology, and how to handle waste when there is such a need. And of course, like this, today, public awareness campaign, so that you promote reclaimed material use and sustainability in the large sense of it. So we are going to just look at some global examples and see how we can draw examples that will be of help. You know, in architecture, whatever we do, we want to take case studies from other places and then improve of them and localize them for our own use. So we said there are quite a number of examples. Circular construction in Amsterdam, which leads in circular construction using material passports and then reuse strategies to minimize waste. So what are we doing there? We're tracking materials. So we know the materials, we know what it will be used for later if we don't need it. And then, of course, the green building in Singapore, that promotes green building certification, which combines with strong waste reduction and policies for sustainability. So those are the kind of things we want to borrow. And we look at green mobility in Copenhagen, where it integrates urban design planning with green mobility solutions to foster sustainable urban environment or urban spaces, as the case may be. And then in London, we're going to look at deconstruction policies and the reuse of hubs. You know, our young people are into so much of computers and the interest is there. So if you can engage them in such activities, it will be of help. We look at India, and then they have these urban design labs where they reduce strategy that minimizes resource use and negative environmental impact. So these examples are showing us that these things are doable. If others are able to do it, we are fantastic. We can also see what applies to us, even improve in what they have done so that they can even come back to us and see what we have done. So we may not employ all at the same time, but of course, when we contextualize consideration, suggestion, and appropriate or acceptability of the areas that we're in for what we like and what we think will happen. So what are those challenges that we have in terms of employing the use of circular economy in Nigerian construction sector? So we said there was a recent study that was done. In fact, I just stumbled on it when I was preparing for this talk. And alarmingly, I saw that 75% of surveyed professionals within the built environment have limited understanding of what circular economy is all about and its principles. And that is a major barrier. That is a major barrier. So we need to bridge the gap to ensure that we are at equal level to be able to drive this circular economy into our professional practices. And then, you know, everything you are starting new is usually at the beginning, you say it's costly. So there's this initial high cost, but eventually the rewards make up for the initial high cost of it. And then weak regulatory support. Sometimes, like I was saying, that circular economy is not even captured in our codes or standards or whatever. It's not even captured. So these are weakness, and we need to bridge that gap. And then, of course, limitation to the kind of technologies that will help us improve in our practices. And so we need to engage them so we can advance recycling, construction technology in many regions around the country. And Kaduna being the starting point, that will be very helpful. So if a product or a house cannot be reduced, reused, or even repaired or republished, then it shouldn't be built. It shouldn't be completed. You should not even go that way. So we need to redesign and then move out of what we call the linear or traditional aspect of our design that we seem to be so cling to and improve upon that. So circular economy in Nigerian construction practices. Well, we have seen that recycling building materials projects are beginning to show up. And I remember some years ago, there was a test, and it happened here in Kaduna, where a company, through some professionals within the built environment, decided to collect bottles, fill them with sand, and then build a bungalow. You see? But because people are not aware of the advantages of such innovations, you discover that since then, how many have we had? None. I don't think, I tried to find out from people, I tried to Google. That is the only one that keeps popping up. So you see that people are not aware, people don't even know the advantages. And this, when you employ such, it is not only cheaper, it is healthier, and then it is even resistant to all kinds of temperature variations, and it is also bulletproof. So maybe some people, when they hear that one now, they will think about it. Because when you use those sun-filled plastic bottles, and then, of course, people that are jobless, our youth, they will go about collecting the empty plastic bottles. It just came to my mind that this year's World Environmental Day held in May, the theme for the year was Beat Plastic Pollution. So if you are able to engage plastic bottles into construction, so you discover that we'll be able to beat the plastic pollution that we have here with us. So modular construction is the way to go because it's limited for waste, and it allows you to reduce waste at site and allows you for easier reuse and disassembly at the end of your project. Or you've changed your mind, I don't want it to be here, I want to take it to my village. So if you are able to employ that, then it's not going to the village to build another. You have retired, you are tired of staying in Kaduna, I want to move to Oshogbo. So you now carry your materials, your model, I have his attention now. So you, so you now move it with ease and with no waste, no breakages. You just disassemble your materials and you move to your location that you want to have it. And like I said, we have attempts, but what's happening to the attempts? So construction waste in Kaduna. So causes of construction waste in Kaduna are usually mostly also for construction. And you have them in high volumes. And it is a detriment to our health. And then we need to engage it at all phases, at all levels. We should ensure that with policy formations and community engagement. So how do we reduce construction waste? We encourage recycling. We can open outfits that, in fact, when you start an outfit like that, you don't even have to go out to source for the materials. People will come themselves bringing such waste, maybe for a token, because you use it also for economic activities. So whatever you're doing in secular, the principles of secular construction or urban design, you will ensure that whatever you are doing is economically viable, it is socially inclusive, and at the same time, not detriment to the environment. So it is environmentally friendly, and so you allow that to happen. So what do? You encourage stakeholders' education, you encourage the construction over demolitions, modular and prefabrications activities to take place. So you find out that industries will boost. When we were coming into Kaduna yesterday, we were passing by all those, what do you call them now? Prints, all those massacres, all those, we saw quite a number of them. They are even, people have vandalized them. They are not in use, so some people have even vandalized. If it was modular construction, maybe you can even turn it into a school. It will be active, because later you may also want to go back into printing those African fabrics and all that. It was such a sad thing, passing and seeing those structures that were very, very active in the 70s, where a lot of manpower was engaged, a lot of money was generated for both the states and Nigeria, and it also gave visibility, not just to Kaduna, but that these fabrics went beyond the shores of this country. But today, because we did not think about the future, that anything could happen, we did not engage with secular economy, we discovered that they are lying fallow. They are also an eyesore. Coming in, it was just a sorry sight that we saw most of them. And of course, trust Nigerians, they have vandalized most of them without even roof. They have removed all the roofing materials. And these secular economic attempts help us to reduce waste and extend the building life and support sustainable growth in many dimensions. So how do we implement this in Kaduna? So we start with, anything that is good, no matter how little you start it, it will have a ripple effect. So we say we start with pilot projects to demonstrate secular principles, how they are operated, how you can harness them, how they are good for everyone, whether it is economical, socially, or it is environmental. So you find out those will help us. And of course, when you showcase modular housing, like today that we're having such an event, somebody can just come here, within an hour, he kind of bring up a structure or a bedroom or a self-contained, and you say, within this structure, you want to look into it. So if you showcase the advantages and the ease and the timing, it will drastically reduce the time involved in erecting such a structure. So it means the advantages are quite enormous. And then before you know it, people will start adopting. And we'll be so proud that it started in Kaduna. So green roof and material exchange hubs. You could have such hubs where people bring, you could want a walling unit and have glass fibers. I could take them there and then exchange for whatever part of the materials that I need for some other things, maybe the walling units or the foundation footings and things like that. So it helps, and it will keep the activities going, and a lot of people will be engaged directly or indirectly. And then, of course, we'll build momentum for citywide adoption. Once you start, if it is good, there was a time in Jos. You discover that architects and other professionals, it's not always that you get jobs that you are doing. Then people started having block industries. Now, every Angwa has 1, 2, 3, 4, up to 10 building industries. So I don't know who will be buying from another person. So that's how, when something is good and it happens, and they know that you are going to have economic value for it, you find that people will easily jump into it. Okay? So if we start that and we reward the system that produces the modular examples, you've discovered that we will have a city-wide adoption. And then, so Kaduna, how do we unlock these secular potentials that the slides are no more. Okay, so in Kaduna, what do we do? So Kaduna has a lot of colonial structures. It has a lot of industrial heritage, and is well positioned to lead other Nigerian secular urban transformations. Like I said before, Kaduna Garangomna, Kaduna was the center of the northern Nigeria, And I remember as a child, there was somebody that was locked up, and then somebody was talking about it, and they said, they locked him up in Kaduna. So it became a big issue, and I was wondering why. They said, because if they lock you up in Kaduna, you don't finish. You understand? So Kaduna has this, is a nerve center that can promote anything that is good, and it will go viral. So we can ensure that in Kaduna we have this adaptive reuse of all factories and colonial buildings, and we can repurpose them into housing, working spaces, or even community hubs, or even computer centers where people learn how to design sustainably. So, and then what else can we do? We can also engage local materials. How do we do that? We have a lot of byproducts that many people do not know that you can substitute them for the traditional cement, especially the agricultural byproducts, which offer sustainable alternatives to cement. And in University of Jos, there's a student from Kaduna that is doing a PhD, and they are using ginger to see how ginger can be supplemented into building bonding materials. In fact, the PhD work is an advanced stage. So you can see what we have that we can use. And when we use our local materials, the local materials are local to us, and they are so used to the climatic conditions of the area. Rather than going to borrow a material from somewhere, and then when it comes here, it's not the same climate, you find that a lot of negative things are happening, and so it will not work well. So, and then it will not be good for us. So we can identify such local materials that will help us in buildings. We talked about plastic is not local, but it's a waste, so we can use it. So this, in Jos, for those who know Acha comes mainly from Jos, and the chaff of Acha is being mixed with our concrete mix to kind of give it more strength. So you see those kind of things that we can use. And of course, in the traditional Hausa setting, You know, the locust bean 3D, the Orawa, we also mix it as stabilizers with our mud to build. So you discover these houses that have been standing for so many years, no matter the rainfall year in, year out, it is still standing. And in Motna in Jos, you know, in Motna in Jos, we have replica of buildings, traditional buildings across the country. So they brought Gidan Makama to Jos. You know, it's supposed to be a replica. And in order to be fair, they now went to Kano to bring mud so that they will stabilize it. And they forgot that the rainfall in Jos is heavier than the one in Kano. Guess what is happening? Now there's an overhang over that large structure so that it will not demolish. And we keep taking students there. If not for the overhang, in fact, it would have been just the foundation, evidence of foundation that we'll be seeing there. It would have been down long time ago. So we need to also incorporate what is local to us, what we know, and in order to stabilize and help, you know, so those byproducts or agricultural waste materials will also be useful in our construction activities. So those are the kind of things we want to look at. So the circular economy is now the channel or the route we need to engage with in order to arrive at our eureka moments. So we say, what else can we do to unlock this circular potentials for Kaduna? So we can engage the youths, the students for innovations. You can even organize competition. We may not even be thinking of some things that will come up because probably we're looking at what the book says or what we have seen. And then somebody will be thinking something else and you discover that it works. So we need to engage our youth in these activities. And then policy reformation, this Kasubda can integrate secular guidelines into zoning and building codes for Kaduna. And I'm sure if it starts, other states will catch fire. So we need to also help in education, like the Kaduna Polytechnic, where there's architecture, Ahmadu Bello University, Kaduna State University, and other institutes can help to train future architects in building secular design and construction principles into whatever that we do. And we also need to do community engagement. You have to sensitize the community. Okay, sometimes you go and build a school in a particular environment. You discover that they don't send their children to school there. Maybe they were not involved. Maybe it's not a school they wanted. Maybe they wanted a clinic. So, but when you engage them and they are part of it, in fact, when a structure is being vandalized, the community itself, we organize people to stop the vandalization because they've been involved, they've been included in the processes that lead to whatever is there. So by the time you are doing that and telling them, look, we are doing it this way because of the sustainability, we are thinking of our grandchildren in the future, when they come, what are they going to do? Are they going to just sit and wait because there's nothing for them to use? But that because we have used it this way, tomorrow others can also have the chance to also work on what they are doing. So what actions do you think we can take? Well, we reform our building codes. We invest in secular transformation. We empower local innovators, you know, like those who constructed the sun-filled plastic bottles into building a house. And then we build for resilience and not just for growth. So at the end of the day, when we engage secular economy, we are not just building for growth, but that we are building for resilience. And what are those things that are expected? The outcomes. Of course, you have reduced construction waste. You have to conserve the natural resources that we have. You enhance, in so doing, we're enhancing urban resilience and livability. So you're able to live in the environment that you find yourself. And what else? You have inclusive economic and social growth and creation of sustainable jobs for others. Circular economy helps for resilience, like we said before, and it helps to build the environment that has the capacity to cope its challenges and to build for better future urban centers, urban area, urban environment. So, in conclusion, he's still there. In conclusion, we are going to see that secular design is necessary. It is not a mouth talk and has a lot of opportunities. And Kaduna can lead in sustainable African urbanism. So let's build a future that regenerates rather than depletes. And then we design for tomorrow and not just for today. And so doing, so we have to rethink how cities are built and rebuilt. And then circular urban design just encourages sustainability in the whole. So when you are engaging with urban circular economy, you are engaging with not just one or two, but you are engaging with 12 goals of the Sustainable Development Goals. So you see, it helps you to even reach out to other goals they are struggling to get from one angle or the other. So that is what happened. So ladies and gentlemen, let us build a regenerative Kaduna together. Thank you for your time. I'm open to one-on-one discussions and also collaborations. And God will help us, and God bless Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Before you go, I just want to say that we do owe you an apology. Despite the fact that our system was not behaving right, you still soldiered on, you policed on. In fact, you road safetied on, you know. And please help me give her a huge round of applause for that. Thank you so much. Very shortly, we'll be inviting you to this place and you're joining some people to discuss what you just had. But please help me escort her down with a powerful round of applause. Just to let you know, too, that at the entrance there where we are coming in, we have conveniences. In case you feel pressed, you use them. Because they say when a man's got to go, he's got to go.
Let me acknowledge some people, then we call you. We will be acknowledging some yet more distinguished arrivals. And after this, there will be a discussion on this paper and a kind of interaction between the presenter and two panelists who are available to discuss, just to go over the fine points of the paper and any highlights they might want to draw. Prior to that, I'd like to acknowledge the presence of architect David Majekodumi. He arrived in the course of the program. Could you kindly... Okay. Arrived alongside architect Muyiwa Ige. Architect Muyiwa Ige. The chair of NIA Lagos chapter, architect Abiodun Fatui. Architect Abiodun Fatui. You're welcome. Thank you for honoring here. Please, it's also important for you to know that Medics for the Underserved, Medics for the Underserved, an NGO based here in Kaduna, they are partners of KADAF 3.0. You might recall, those of you who were here, that they were also in 2.0. At the back, they are offering free, what I could call review of basic health facilities. So you could check your BP, your oxygen saturation, which hopefully will be very good, your sugar level, your heart rate. They are at the back and they are offering free service. So if you go around the back, Medics for the Underserved, represented by Dr. Yahya Abdullahi, are offering that service. That is just for you to be aware. And I think it is an opportunity we should avail ourselves of. Yes. Yes, Architect Majekodumi, you were acknowledged as you stepped out. So, okay. I've been made aware that because we will take goodwill messages from, there's a lot of goodwill in the room and we wanted to take messages. The representatives of the speaker might want to take has informed us that he might not be able to stay much longer. So we will be taking his goodwill message. Dr. Awal Mustafa Imam, DG Nihilist. You might want to come up on the stage, and we'll just take your goodwill message and then go ahead with the discussion. Dr. Awal Mustafa Imam coming up to the stage. Kindly. Thank you very much, sir.
Hello and good afternoon, everyone. Auzu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. I stand before you this afternoon to represent the Honorable Speaker, House of Representatives, Honorable Dr. Abbas Tajuddin, GCON, Ian Zozo, who had wanted to be here, but is currently performing a function with the parliamentarians at Algiers in Algeria. So he asked me to be here with you to represent him. And I have a speech from him, a very short goodwill message to read. I would wish to stand on the already established protocols. Good afternoon once again. I'm deeply honored to stand before you today on behalf of the Right Honorable Tajuddin Abbas, PhD, the Speaker of the 10th House of Representatives, who conveys his warm greetings and best wishes to the leadership and members of the Nigerian Institute of Architects, Kaduna State Chapter, on this year's Kaduna Architects Forum, KADAF 3.0. The Speaker regrets his unavoidable absence due to pressing national engagements, but he has asked me to assure you of his deep appreciation and full support for his laudable initiative that brings together professionals, policymakers, and thought leaders to discuss the future of architecture and infrastructure development in Nigeria. This year's theme, Innovative Ideas, Sustainable Practices, and the Future of Architecture in Nigeria, is both timely and inspiring. Globally, the built environment is undergoing a transformation driven by sustainability imperatives, climate change, and technological innovations. In Nigeria, the urgency is even greater. Our cities are expanding rapidly, and the demand for resilient, affordable, and environmentally responsible infrastructure continues to grow. The Kaduna Architects Forum stands as a model for professional foresight, driving conversations that align with the Sustainable Development Goals, particularly the SDG 9 on industry, innovation, and infrastructure, and the SDG 11 on sustainable cities and communities. The House of Representatives, under the leadership of Right Honorable Abbas Tajuddin, remains firmly committed to legislative frameworks that promote sustainable urban development and inclusive infrastructure. The Speaker believes that architecture is not merely about physical structures, but about the kind of nation we build. One that balances functionality with beauty, innovation, and sustainability, and growth with social equity. Through the relevant committees of the House of Representatives, the Speaker has given chance to deliberate efforts which are ongoing to strengthen laws that encourage green building standards, affordable housing, urban renewal, and the development of modern public facilities that meet the needs of growing population. The Speaker, Right Honorable Abbas Tajuddin, has consistently demonstrated his belief that infrastructure is the foundation of national progress. In his home constituency of Zaria, for those of you that have visited Zaria recently, and across Kaduna State, his track record speaks volumes, from the construction of modern roads and bridges that connect communities to the rehabilitation of schools that shape young minds and the establishment of healthcare centers that bring medical services closer to the people. He has also championed ICT development, the provision of water projects, and the renovation of public facilities, ensuring that no community is left behind. These interventions are not mere physical projects. They represent a broader philosophy of governance, one that connects infrastructure with human development. Right Honorable believes that a strong Nigeria must be built on the pillars of education, innovation, and opportunity. His vision is clear: to ensure that every bridge built leads to opportunity, every classroom constructed opens the door to knowledge, and every road becomes a pathway to national prosperity. The approach to leadership resonates strongly with today's theme, as sustainable architecture and infrastructure must go hand in hand with social impact and economic inclusion. Ladies and gentlemen, the Speaker firmly supports collaboration between the public and private sectors, academia, and the professional bodies such as the Nigerian Institute of Architects. He believes that architects are not just designers of space, but visionaries of national identity. Their creativity and technical expertise are essential in building the kind of Nigeria we aspire to have, a nation that balances progress with preservation and growth with sustainability. The National Assembly welcomes continued engagement with your profession to shape policy directions that foster innovation, quality assurance, and environmental stewardship in our national development agenda. In conclusion, on behalf of Right Honorable Abbas Tajuddin, Speaker of the 10th House of Representatives, I wish to commend the Kaduna State Chapter of the Nigerian Institute of Architects for organizing this impactful forum. Your commitment to professional excellence and sustainable practice reflects the spirit of New Nigeria, one where vision meets action and innovation meets development. The Speaker assures you of his continued partnership and legislative support of the National Assembly in advancing infrastructure, housing, sustainable architecture across our nation. May this year's forum generate practical ideas, strengthen professional bonds, and produce outcomes that will shape a more resilient, beautiful, and prosperous Nigeria. Thank you, and God bless the Nigerian Institute of Architects.
Thank you very much, sir. And we thank you for your time. The representative of the Speaker is about to leave us. We'll thank him, and I expect some members to help escort him as he leaves. Thank you very, very much. One more time, please help put your hands together for him. And we thank him for being with us and spending time with us. He's exchanging pleasantries with our royal father of the day, representative of the Emir of Zazzau, Architect Haruna Bakar Bamali. We thank you so much, sir, for your time, and do enjoy the rest of the day. Well, just to let you know that after that brief pause, we want to come back to where we left off, which is the discussions, the round table that we'll be having following the presentation that was made. Architect, I think this is your area. Let me not say, you have to say the way it is while I prepare the ground.
Yes, as a continuation of the presentation by Professor Evelyn Kagum, we will have just a sharing of perspectives, highlights, and discussion of some of the points that were raised. This will involve two of our very distinguished guests as well today, Architect Mary Dassat of Edge. If you could come up to the stage, Architect Dassat. Thank you very much. Please a round of applause. And she will be accompanied also by QS Aluko Olokun. If you could come up to the stage, please. The idea is basically to identify particular themes and strands from the paper, discuss, This will be brief, and audience feedback is also encouraged, and then we can proceed to the next item. So this should allow us to get even better insights into the paper presented by the professor. Thank you very much. Yes, as a matter of fact, in order for the communication to be direct, Professor, if you would still do us the pleasure of coming up on stage, so the response will be immediate. Thank you very much.
Good morning, distinguished guests, colleagues, and participants. Welcome to this exciting session of Kaduna Architects Forum. Permit me to stand on all existing protocol, please. Our distinguished speaker, Professor Kankum, has given us a very enlightening opening presentation. On the theme of sustainability and circular economy, rethinking urban design and reducing construction waste in Kaduna. And her topic addressed one of the most urgent challenges of our time, how to design and build for the future while minimizing waste and maximizing value. So I'll be moderating the panel. My name is Architect Mary Dasat, and I'm an architect and sustainability practitioner. And we also have QS Bukola and our speaker, Professor Ashelo. Thank you. I will start with our QS in the house. Yes, so the question I have, during the presentation, Prof mentioned about the perception, that cost implication of building sustainably. Where people, research has shown that, yes, there's an upfront cost, which is always a hindrance for projects, right? So how do we mitigate that? As a cost consultant, I know there are certain things that we consider for when we're running projects. So how do we make clients understand that that upfront cost is actually going to benefit them in the long run? Thank you.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for having me. Looking at the question that you have just asked, it's quite apparent that when you are going into sustainability of buildings, first challenge is the upfront cost. But as a quantity surveyor, we try to enlighten our clients to tell them the benefits, to not just look at the initial cost. We do what we call whole life costing, tell them about the value, the cost of the initial construction itself. We'll look at the maintenance cost. We tell them this is what it costs you to maintain this particular facility. We also look at the operational cost. We break the cost down. And we tell them at the end of the day, if you look at the residual value that you are going to get from this building, because if you're talking about sustainability, we are saying we want to recycle the economy. So if you go into this circular construction or sustainability or sustainable construction itself, your building will have what we call residual value, which is a benefit that you're going to get at the long term, not just at the short term. We also try to convince them on the resale value, because it means at the end of the day, if you say you want to deconstruct, because we are now moving away from demolition to deconstruction, we will tell you, we will do material audit, come to the building, take a complete material audit of the entire materials that are there. And these materials can be reused somewhere else. You don't need to, throw them away. And we also try to, move away from recycling, because recycling will actually devalue the embedded energy within those materials. So as a quantity surveyor, we try to take our time, talk to the clients, enlighten them, take them through the stages of the life cycle of the building. And at the end of the day, we will be ensured that they will now, understand the value of this circular economy you are talking about, and then going for a sustainable building? Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for that contribution. You mentioned about life cycle costing, and I believe that covers also the operations of the building. Okay, that's awesome. Prof, back to you. Circular economy basically is trying to keep the materials in a loop, as against the linear economy where we just extract, use, and discard. We try to now see how we can keep the material continuously. But beyond material continuity in the loop, in design, I know you mentioned a couple of design principles that we should adopt, but how do we, as architects, also considering the fact that the survey you highlighted, about 75% of professionals are not even aware of these circular economy principles. How do we get them on board, first of all, acquiring the knowledge, and then transferring the knowledge to also their clients? Because at the end of the day, the professionals are going to work for clients. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Well, during the discussion, I was able to say that we need to have sensitizations, even like a forum that we're having here. We need to ensure that students at that level are also aware, because they can even speak to, maybe the father or one of the students is even your client. So you kind of have a ripple effect. You can also have a forum for the general public. You invite them into spaces that we discuss these advantages that we have with circular economy, so to enable them imbibe into it, to buy into it. And then I was talking about also about celebrating examples, compliance. And once you do that, others are seeing it, they'll be able to buy into it, and it will certainly promote the use of circular economy. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you, Prof. Coming back to you once again. You mentioned about the example of the building that was built with plastic bottles, sand-filled plastic bottles. I know that when we talk of sustainability, circular economy, there is always this rudimentary aspect to it. And we are living in a world where there's modernization, everybody wants something nice. How do we overcome that perception barrier regarding acceptance of sustainability when it looks a little bit rudimental? Thank you.
All right, thank you. Change is good, but change is difficult to agree on and adopt too. So, you know, we are kind of laid back. We like to continue with what we are used to. But when we see that everybody has left you behind because you are not in tune with realities. In fact, sometimes you don't even need much persuasion. You find that they will just fall in line. And when they know the advantages of what you are doing, even if you look at, I wish I had I wish one of my slides had the picture of that building that was, at a first value, you don't even know that it was built with plastic bottles because the finishing was very nice. It was smooth. So it's not something that people will say it's out of the ordinary. So they won't be able to use it. It's something that is even pleasant. And more so that if you have such buildings, for your security, we're talking about being bulletproof, adapting to the climate, and the cooling effect it has in the interior. You don't need to use all those mechanisms that are contributing to greenhouse. So it has a lot of advantages. And there's nothing to say that when you look at it, it's not appealing. It does appeal. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Still coming back to you, but also hopefully that someone can also help us out in the audience. You mentioned about the strategic location of Kaduna being formerly the capital of the northern Nigeria, and then also how it's able to influence other states in the region. And you also mentioned about the preservation and adaptive reuse of both the colonial structures that have been left behind and the industrial ruins as well. I don't know if you are the right person to answer this question, but are you aware of legislation in place or policies in place to preserve these cultural heritages we have, as well as even this industrial fabric of the state? Because it's a good thing to have and preserve also, and to protect and transfer to the future generations. Are you aware of any policy in place or laws regarding conservation, preservation, and also adaptive reuse of these structures?
Yeah, there are structures that have been, like we have listed buildings, and we have monumental buildings that may not be monumental in terms of size, but that they carry history and heritage with them. Those, of course, those ones are being kept. But like the industries, the textile industries that have been lying fallow, they are not of any use. They are not even being used even for excursions to see the relics of where the textiles were. We can put them to other usage. Those that have laws, regulations on them, of course, you will know that they maintain them, especially those ones that people visit. They collect tokens to allow you go in and visit. So those ones are maintained. But when you allow valuable assets or movable assets to go to waste, that is where we are concerned. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof. One last question. Yes, thank you. You spoke about the opportunities for building professionals, especially architects, beyond designing, going into production. You gave an example of the block industry situation. And you also spoke about modular construction, building materials, components off-site, and then bringing them to site. But these are very technological and also capital intensive. So how do you propose the architects overcome these challenges if they decide to venture into modular building components production?
Okay, we go into training, retraining, and I mentioned that we could also create hubs where people come to learn, be it in a setting like this or informally. You can even have artisans learning some of these processes so that they'll be able to promote circular economy. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prof. I know I put you on the spot.
Thank you so much. As a matter of fact, this panel, once more, a round of applause for Professor Evelyn Kangum, our Chair Architect Mary Dassat, QS Bukola Aluko Oloko. We really appreciate the fact that within this period you were able to even further stimulate this lecture. Your questions actually made me happy that at least I don't have to face any panel. I did my Viva, thank God, because some of these questions are quite searching and might be difficult to answer. The one last time again, Professor Kagum, Evelyn, will be receiving her Speaker's Award. I apologize for letting you go and sit at the back. Her award is going to be brought to stage. Professor Kagum, kindly come to stage to collect the Speaker's Award. Thank you so much for a very incisive and good lecture. To present the award, we would like to seek the indulgence of our Royal Father, Architect Haruna Abubakar Bambali, Bardeng Eraria Zazzau, District Head of Basawa, to kindly present the award to the Speaker. Thank you very much, sir. He's going to read.
On behalf of the Nigerian Institute of Architects, in appreciation of your valuable thoughts, provoking insight that have advanced understanding and opened new perspectives. Your contributions have enriched the conference and inspired the architectural community. This award is presented to Architect Professor Evelyn Lai Alu Kamkung. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Thank you very much, sir.
A huge round of applause for that special.
We want to
Thank you
appreciate
so
so far. There will be goodwill messages. Like I said, there's a lot of goodwill in the room. And the goodwill messages, I'd just like to run down the individuals. If you could kindly keep to 1 minute so that we just keep to the time. Our incoming president, Architect Sani Saulawa, Architect Musa Sada, Dr. Awal Mustafa Imam has left. Our royal father, again, Architect Haruna Abubakar Bamali, Architect Goki Omogbodun, with a message from the third vice president, Dr. Alao Amos, the president of Society of Landscape Architects of Nigeria, Architect Hadiza El Rufai, for all the reasons, all the right reasons, Architect Fausat Ibikunle, Architect Nine Briggs, Architect Ige Muiwa, Architect David Majekodumi, and the chairs of Lagos, Katsina, and Plateau State chapters. So just bear with us. I had to run this down so we know everybody who is going to be presenting. Our incoming president, Architect Sani Saula, if you would kindly come in with your goodwill message. Thank you very much, sir. Please, incoming president deserves a continuous round of applause until he arrives here. Thank you very, very much. Thank you so much. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you very much, my brother, my president, your Royal Highness, your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I will first of all rely on the speech that was delivered by the president of the Nigerian Institute of Architects. I also appreciate the fact that I am called upon here to say 1 or 2 words. For me, it's 3/3 today. I was here, KADAF 1.0, representing the then president of the Nigerian Institute of Architects, Architect Enyi Ben Ebo. I was here last year, KADAF 2.0, representing the president of the Nigerian Institute of Architects, Saadatu, Sa'ar Mata, the new name acquired in Kaduna today. So 3.0, today is the first time I'm here on my own accord as Architect Saulawa, the incoming president. And by the grace of God, I have witnessed the tremendous growth of this KADAF. And inshallah, we will live long to witness 4.0. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. That actually sounded presidential already. Architect, I would kindly like to call upon Architect Musa Sada, FNIA, one of the strong pillars of the chapter and nationally, and one of the main actors in architecture in Nigeria. Please, let's keep applauding as he comes up to the stage. Architect Musa Sada, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Your Royal Highness, the representative of the Emir of Zazzau, our fellow president of the Nigerian Institute of Architects, our colleagues, my mentors, that I must not forget to mention architect Ibrahim Mahmoud, architect Nasiru Aboki, architect Greg Icha. Those are some of the people that showed us the way earlier on to get to where we found ourselves. Distinguished colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, I think my goodwill message will also rely on the very beautiful and nicely presented paper by Professor Eblin. I think if you are talking of the topic or the theme of the KADAF 3.0, that paper would have done a lot of justice to what the organizers would have want to put forward. I must thank the organizers of the event for bringing the professor to talk to us on some of the issues she raised in her paper. They're very, very important. And I think some of the things that we may need to take home from the paper is the to-do list from what she presented. We can only appreciate and thank her for the presentation by trying to create some kind of to-do list based on the paper. And my own suggestion is to look at some kind of stakeholder platforms that will follow this event in trying to achieve the distance. Because if you look at urban development generally, the most important things are the stakeholders in the distance. And who are the stakeholders? If you take the complex institutional buildings, what percentage of Nigerians use those structures? And what percentage use the smaller housing and the little structures that you require to drive your economic activities? This is where the bulk of it is. And this is where her paper is directing us to, that we should create the platforms to involve stakeholders, some kind of stakeholder engagement that will now tell people, because most of these things are actually policy issues that if you don't dialogue and get the stakeholders involved in doing these things, you are not likely to get to where you're going. And you're not likely to solve any problem. Because some of the issues we face as professionals is that we attend to issues that basically affects very small percentage of the population. And the bulk of the population that are in the lower cadre of the economic realm are left out. And in most instances, it's because they are not engaged. They are not being talked to. They don't even understand. Some of the examples she cited are things that I think as professionals we should now start thinking. How do we bring them on board? How do we inform them? How do we get them interested? How do we get them to start using it? Because like she said, an example that is very important and very nice that is there anytime you try to get ideas about the same project will keep propping up. It means that as professionals, we have a job to do. And I think one of the things that will add to this, sometimes conferences like this get very nicely done. We meet each other, but in between this one and the next one, we also have to start putting in programs to assess what happened. What did we do in between to make sure that the ideas generated here are actually useful? Because unless we get the stakeholders involved that will use our services as professionals, we'll continue to dance around the risks. Because one of the major risks is getting the stakeholders to understand we as professionals, what are we trying to do? And they agree with us. And I think if the KADAF and the Kaduna State chapter of the Nigerian Institute of Architects can look at this, possibly monthly. For instance, go to the central market and try to pick some of our ideas and talk to them about attending to fire hazards. If it happens in the market, what do you use that you now bring it down? Most of the traders there would want to listen to you because it's something that directly affects them. I think these are some of the areas as professionals we pay attention to and see what we can do to contribute to the society. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We got more than a goodwill message. We also got some very, very good advice, which is highly appreciated. The next goodwill message will be coming from the Baridan Area Zazzau, district head of Basawa, architect Haruna Abubakar Bamali. Round of applause, please. Round of applause. Thank you.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Chairman of the occasion and President, Nigerian Institute of Architects, President, Nigerian Institute of Architects chapter, the ARCON leadership here present, other members of the high table, a very good afternoon to you. I'm here wearing two caps as a member of this great institute and then representing His Highness, the Emir of Zazzau. His Highness would have loved to be here, but due to some exigencies that coincided with this event, he has asked me to come here and represent him. His Highness is proud of the Nigerian Institute of Architects, especially the Kaduna chapter and the Department of ABU. If you get to the palace now, you will notice a lot of changes, a lot of beautifications, a lot of renovations, a lot of remodeling and other developmental projects. All these are achieved with the help of the Nigerian Institute of Architects. We have a lot of architects around us. I don't need to mention name. One of the committees was headed by the former Vice President, architect Namoji Sambu. There are other architects, a lot that time will not permit us to mention their names. He has asked me, I'm coming here to wish the organizers a fruitful discussion. And he has asked me to wish and pray that at the end of this exercise, this gathering, the gathering will act like a springboard for our individual and collective development. Thank you and good guidance.
Thank you for those very kind words from our royal father. I would like to acknowledge the presence of architect John Bauer, head of student affairs, NIA. So indeed, our students are carried along. And I skipped one of the goodwill message presenters, very important representative of Architecture Registration Council of Nigeria. That is architect Abiola Akinola. He will be giving us his goodwill message. In fact, we need all the goodwill we can get from ACON, so he's highly welcome. The next goodwill message will be coming from architect Goki Omogbodun with a message from the third vice architect Ali Mukhtar. Architect Goki. You're welcome. welcome. Please let's appreciate Architect Goke Omugbodun, who is a permanent fixture actually. Thank you.
I will just have relied on the protocols already established, but I want to be a very good student of Madam President, because when she got here, she said we should no longer rely on established protocols. So at least to please her, and to be sure, you know I must please her very well now. So I'm still going to try my best to relay some protocol. Madam President, the Pearl President of the Nigerian Institute of Architects, Architect Mobolaji Adeola Saadatu Sarhamata Adeniyi. Please put your hands together for her. And the President-elect, everybody calls him incoming, but the Constitution calls him the President-elect, Architect Sani Saulawa. You're highly recognized. I also want to recognize all strategic committee members of the institutes that are here. And you know, I'm speaking for the third vice president. And while I was sitting down there, the second vice president also called me and said I should speak for her. So I'll be saying everything together. But in recognizing the members of the strategic committee, I recognize the presence of the National Treasurer. Please put your hands together for him. The past treasurer of the Institute, Architect Fausat Adebola Ibikunle. That's my predecessor in office. Please recognize her very well. And sitting next to her, immediate past, maybe not immediate past, but past First Lady of this very beautiful state, an architect. Please recognize Architect Mrs. Hadiza El Rufai. We appreciate your presence. Architect Musa Sada, former minister, thank you for being here. The ACON ACON President Representative, Architect Dipo Ajayi, represented by Architect Biola Akinola. We want to specially recognize you, sir, the Royal Father, Your Highness, and at the same time, Architect Abubakar Bamali, the Balden Kerania Zauzau, representing the Emir of Zauzau. We acknowledge you, we appreciate you. If it were in Yoruba land, we would have said Kabiesi, but I don't know what you say for Royal Fathers in the north. Rankadede. Can everybody say Rankadede? Thank you very much. Members of Council of the Nigerian Institute of Architects, fellows, distinguished fellows of the Institute, all members of the Nigerian Institute of Architects, particularly of Kaduna chapter. Can you please put your hands together for yourselves? Because you have done a very great job. I mean, I've seen that since I arrived here yesterday. The students that are here, and I believe by now I've been a good student and kept to the instruction of Madam President and established as much protocol as possible. So, not yet covered, ladies and gentlemen. I am speaking for three people. I'll speak for the National Treasurer. I'll speak for the third vice president. I'll speak for the second vice president. For the treasurer, I'll speak in less than 15 seconds. All I just want to say is that I've learned something from here, because so many things I'm going to take away from here, and I'll take back to my chapter, so that a few things, although Oasis in Ocean has been long before KADAF, but we all keep on rubbing on one another. That's one beautiful thing about architects. We're always doing things in style, and there's always something to take home. So I have something to take home from here. And I also have a blessing to take home. Architect Kabiru, I asked you there, I said, what do you call a prophet. You said Anabi. I think you are an Anabi here today. Because when people thought that he mistakenly introduced me the wrong way, I said, that's a prophetic introduction. Thank you very much, sir. And in representing the third vice president of the Institute, he honestly wanted to be here. But there are always those assignments. Sometimes Madam President is here. When she gives us assignments, we have to do them. And the third vice president has one of those assignments right now. And at the same time, he has personal issues that he must of necessity attend to at the same time. To avoid so many clashes, he's not able to come. But he has asked me to tell you that he believes that KADAF is still going places and that you should continue to do it the way you have been doing it from KADAF 1 and from KADAF 2. I think he's been involved all along because he's been supervising all the chapters, because I know I've met him in a number of other chapter events like this, and he wishes the Cardinal chapter the best. And I said that as I sat down there, architect Chioma Wogu also called me and said I should say something on her behalf. So I said, tell me specifically what you want me to say, because I don't want to misquote you. And she also expressed the fact that she ought to have been here. She made all plans available to make her be here. But, you know, she also has other responsibilities because there are things she must do to move on to higher places, and those are dreams that we have for her. And she said, I should tell you that even in spite of the fact that she's not here, she's here with you in spirit. And she said, I should tell her what the theme is. And I told her it's building a resilient future. And she laughed and said, tell KADAF that the future is resilient for KADAF. Thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much, Architect Goke Omogun. Once again, please put your hands together for him. We are moving on, and I'd like to invite the President of Society of Landscape Architects of Nigeria to come give his own goodwill message, Dr. Alao Amos. Help me put your hands together for him, and keep clapping until he gets here. That will put some spring into his steps. I told you, keep clapping till he gets here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. First of all, I want to thank our pale president. There is never a time you sit with her and you don't learn something. Now, protocol, the etiquette of protocol is key. So I had written my protocol, and I have to rewrite it. But understanding what she had mentioned earlier, grammatically incorrect is standing on existing protocol. So she has done a detailed breakdown of the protocol. So allow me to adopt what the Pearl President has done. So on behalf of the Society of Landscape Architects of Nigeria, I extend warm greetings and deep appreciation to the NIA for always inviting us and collaborating with us on the KADAF program. Now, just as the incoming president has said, I'm also 3/3 in this conference. Your openness and collaboration demonstrates that no single profession has all the answers to climate change or building resilience. But together we can achieve sustainable solutions for our cities and rural areas. I grew up in Kaduna, like the Pearl President has said. I grew up on Issa Keita Road and Sultan Close. 20 minutes drive from this point, depends on what you are riding. Now, today our cities face unprecedented challenges. There was a time, Angwarimi, this part of Kaduna, was a carbon sink. You could walk from Murtala Square to Central Market under 3 canopies. and you will not sweat from the sun. You are sweating from either fatigue or from kinetic motion. Today, our cities are bare of greens. We have spoken so much about resilient buildings, but a building can only be resilient if the environment is green. Just like the professor said, you know, when we talk about, it's not a lecture, it's a goodwill message, but when we talk about building materials, we also have issues of thermal expansion. We talked about plastics. We're in the humid environments. We have increase in length per unit rise in temperatures and all of that. These are some of the paradigms we as landscape architects want to introduce and collaborate with architects moving forward. Now, I also want to talk about resilience as it relates to nature-based solutions. A lot of times when we talk about building resilience, we talk about concrete. Everything is hard. It's nice to see that at KADAF 2.0, this area was hard. 3.0, we can see that the green is beginning to sprout. 4.0, God willing, we're going to have more green around the environment. Now, the paradigm of a landscape architect, besides nature-based solutions, we also talk about locally optimized traditional ecological knowledge. For the building architects, that is biomimicry or biophilic architecture. So we need to go back to how our ancestors did these things and make life better and comfortable for all of us. In closing, as we gather here in Kaduna, let this event be a call to action for all built environment professionals. Together, architects, planners, engineers, I deliberately put landscape architects last, can build cities that are not only structurally sound, but ecologically intelligent and socially inclusive. And as the Hausa people say, Gerida yakoya maka tefia, yakoya maka dawa, which means the city that taught you to walk deserves that you return to help it rise. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let this meeting not just be one that will just judge and not put into action. That's according to Dr. Alao Amos. Thank you very, very much for your contribution. At this point, I'd like to, specific hellos. And I think you'll end up in Madam President's zone too. All right. I think you touched a nerve and a chord. Some collabo will be happening. All right, so at this point, I'd like to invite to the microphone one of the twins. If I say that, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about, because Madam President referred to that. Okay, 1978, does that ring a bell? Okay, help me with a huge round of applause. Welcome to the microphone, architect Hadiza El-Rufai, wife of the former governor of Kaduna State, former First Lady, and there are so many other formers that I will not let you know now. Only me know. Please help me escort her here with a huge round of applause to give her gingers. Thank you very, very much. I want to listen to your goodwill message.
Thank you very much. Your Royal Highness, the Emir of Zazzau, ably represented here by our colleague, Madam President, Bolaji Saadatu Sa'armata, other distinguished ladies and gentlemen, my colleagues, students here present, good afternoon. My goodwill message is going to be very short. I'm just going to extend my appreciation to the Kaduna State Chapter of the Nigerian Institute of Architects for organizing this. This is the third outing of this, and you've done very well. We appreciate it. I wish you all the best. I wish all of us long life so that we can live to see the fourth, the fifth, the sixth editions of this laudable project, inshallah. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, ma'am. And you know it's not right for you to give something to one twin and you don't give to the other twin. Abi? So it's not my fault. Help me as I welcome to the platform, to the microphone, Architect Fausat Ibukunle. And please keep clapping. Keep clapping until she gets here. Keep clapping. Now, students, I hope you are learning. I hope you are listening, you are taking notes, because these things, there are some things you don't get from lecture rooms, but you get straight here from speeches and all of that. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Madam President, my Pearl President, my sister, and the second female architects of our Able Institute, we're so extremely proud of what you're doing. You have already established some protocol here, well laid out. So permit me to just adopt it so that I will not waste too much time. So straight to the point, Kaduna State chapter, we have come a long way together. My short stay in Kaduna, we worked hand in hand together, and I've always been very proud of everything that you're doing. I'm extremely proud of this new outing that you call KADAF. This is the 3.0. I'm not sure if I was in Kaduna when 1.0 took place. For sure, I did not attend 2.0, but I'm here 3.0. It's a very laudable cause. We're extremely proud of you. And from the theme that you have adopted this year, it is a very welcome development because it gives us opportunity to really stimulate ourselves in current issues. The lecture that was presented to us by the professor was so apt, so we'll continue to push ourselves more and more. So I'm very proud of what you're doing. On behalf of myself, I would want to congratulate you and hope that, like my friend said earlier, that we'll all live long enough to be part of more. So keep the flag flying. Well done and congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Another round of applause for Architect Fausat Ebikule. Thank you so much for the very kind words and even kinder prayers. May we all live long to witness Kaduna Architects Forum, KADAF, continue to grow and get into double figures, actually. We will take the next goodwill message from Architect Naine Briggs, former chair, NIA Abuja chapter. Architect Briggs, thank you so much for agreeing to share your goodwill message and your thoughts with KADAF 3.0. Architect Nina Briggs.
Good afternoon, everyone. Very, very quickly, so I don't take too much time. Madam President, the Royal Father of the Day, here represented, Mr. Incoming President, my chairman, Architect Sada, always my chairman, the Archon President here represented, members of the National Executive, members of the Kaduna State Chapter Exco, the outgoing Exco, and I guess the incoming Exco as well. You know, I'm here on two fronts, personally, and then representing the Abuja chapter where I come from. So firstly, on behalf of my chapter chair and the executive of the Abuja chapter, this is to congratulate the Kaduna State team for putting the third edition of this program together. And I would be quick to add on that front that we wish you all the best in future editions to come, and we'll be more than willing and glad to collaborate with you. This is an extremely strong theme you have here, building resilient, building a resilient future. Then on my part, what I would like to say is that when coming into Kaduna this morning, I noticed Kaduna, well, I've been to Kaduna a lot of times, even from when I was much younger. Kaduna has an incredibly rich history. You know, sitting in front of us, well, Kaduna, and by extension, ABU, you know, sometimes when you see the retinue of people who graduated from ABU, sometimes wish you attended ABU, but we went to a very good school as well. We finished from an extremely good school as well, yes. Thank you, Madam President. Yeah, so my point is, and Professor Evelyn talked about it in her paper, Kaduna State holds an extremely strong part of national history. And when driving into the city this morning, I noticed some old industrial buildings completely abandoned. And I started thinking to myself, what are we doing as architects? How much advocacy are we putting into policy, policy spaces? How can we revive, the economy? Because honestly, as architects, we're the designers of not just the built environment, but the economic and the social environment. So we have to, now I'm speaking to the Kaduna State chapter and KADAF by extension, you've got to see this platform as an opportunity to change the dearth in the city. You've got to see it as a vehicle through which you're able to transform the way people see derelict assets, a derelict economy, as it were. You've got to see it as a responsibility and as an opportunity to revive and upscale all of that. Kaduna State, I mean, there's so much history in Kaduna State, it's unbelievable. So I think there is this is more like a charge to the incoming the outgoing EXCO and the incoming EXCO. This is a charge to see that you step into that role of advocacy. Quite frankly speaking, in closing, the architect is just leadership. Everything about the architect is leadership. And it behoves on each and every one of us to rise to that role. So in closing, once again, heartfelt congratulations to the Kaduna State chapter. Heartfelt congratulations to KADAF 3.0, and long live the NIA. Thank you.
Say amen to that. The next goodwill message will be from Architect Abiola Akinola, representing Architects Registration Council of Nigeria. Architect Abiola. Architect Abiola, Akon. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We could do the goodwill messages all day, but eventually we have to stop. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, I have a message to deliver, but I'm also in the midst of my friends. Maybe I have scored 66.7. I was at KADAF 1.0. I missed 2.0. Everything I tried to be at 2.0 did not work. And as fate will have it, I was almost missing 3.0. And then my bosses were engaged, and they have to send me. So I have to be here for 3.0. So, and the President, Akon, sent a message. The Registrar Akon wanted to be here today, but had to be at the National Assembly today. So he promised that he will make sure he catches up with KADAF 3.0 before we close tomorrow. Madam President, the PR President, and I would like to adopt the beautiful protocol built by my predecessor in office as the chair. When I was here for 1.0, I came as the chair of Osun to identify with my brother Obaje then. And he established a very wonderful protocol that I would like to adopt. I mean, I couldn't do anything better than what he has done in terms of protocol. So back to the message of Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, it is a great pleasure to, well, it's not here, but to be represented here at Kaduna Architect Forum. He wants to commend the chapter for sustaining this vital platform through 1.0 to 3.0. And he made reference to the theme, Building Resilient Future, Architectural Risk and Sustainability in Kaduna, to be a both timely and visionary theme. It challenges us to create buildings and communities that can withstand environmental, economic, and social pressures while remaining functional and sustainable. At Akon, we share this vision and have taken deliberate steps to strengthen the practice of architecture nationwide.
He made references to some of our recent achievements, digitization of the registration and licensing processes, full implementation of the APRN, collaborative capacity building with the ministry, promotion of technical and vocational training for artisans, and other things. These measures reflect ACON's ongoing commitment to excellence, innovation, and professional integrity. As we deliberate over today and tomorrow, Mr. President wants us to remember that architecture is not just about structures, it is about people, resilience, and the legacy that we leave behind. So he implored us to continue to design with vision, to build with conscience, and inspire with purpose. And so, on behalf of ACON, I wish us a successful and impactful forum. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Architect Abiola Akinola, with a very heartwarming message from the Architects Registration Council of Nigeria. As the time is running down, let's endeavor to keep the goodwill messages as short as we can. Architect Muyiwa Ige. Architect Muyiwa Ige. Thank you very much, Architect Muyiwa Ige, with a goodwill message for this KADAF 3.0. Yeah, good.
Thank you very much. Our royal father of the day, represented by one of our own, Madam President, Madam Pearl President, and I take full responsibility for coining that name, Pearl President. Now, interestingly, she's transitioning into being Mama Africa. So, yes or no? Because she just has a new position in AUA. So, Madam Pearl President, soon to be, or no, is now Mama Africa. Our chairman of the state chapter, eminent personalities here, Honorable Minister, and our great students. I'm happy to be here in Kaduna. Last time I came here, we had some council meetings, and typically I'll come for polo tournaments. And interestingly, the polo tournament is going on this week. And so it's a wonderful coincidence. And as we arrived here today, I started thinking about my father, because he was a Kaduna boy. He grew up in Kaduna, St. Joseph's School. Does anyone know where St. Joseph's School is? I'd like to visit it before I go back. And so it was quite nostalgic for me. And the only other time I came, over and beyond the stories, was in 1984, when he was in detention in Zaria. So we flew into Kaduna and then drove to Zaria, to the Zaria prison at the time. So bittersweet memory, but I'm very happy to be here. And I want to commend the chapter for putting together KADAF 3.0. My prayer is that we'll have many, many more of these programs that showcases what architecture is about. And I want to appreciate the professor, not Katagum, but Kandum, for that wonderful presentation. Basically, it has urged us on to move ahead. And I now want to throw a challenge to the Kaduna chapter. Again, as was mentioned by my brother, Nina Briggs, there are glorious opportunities in this land. Again, it's the architect, the leader of the design team, that can actually generate ideas. So why don't we take the challenge? Let's enumerate all of these moribund facilities, factories, buildings, even they're listed, and create a project out of it, and let government understand that this is our own injection. By it, there'll be employment. By it, there'll be participation with our students in school, because they'll also learn. So I'm throwing the challenge here that we should look at some of the factories. What are the proposed future uses? Again, the topic is building resilient future. The first quarter of the century is gone. How do we reimagine the next 25 years? What is the role of architecture in our realm here to come up with a resilient future? So I wish Kaduna chapter well. I'm happy to be here. I'm here for the long haul, till tomorrow, till Friday. So let's enjoy. God bless you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your ideas, your thoughts. And you could actually spend the whole weekend in Kaduna. Kaduna is very welcoming. Architect David Majekodumi gives us the next goodwill message. Architect David Majekodumi. So fellow esteemed architects, Architect David Majekodumi, esteemed architects and students and other stakeholders, actually. Thank you.
Madam President, the Emir of Zazzau, ably represented by one of our own, the incoming president, the second, third, ably represented by the treasurer, and I recognize the treasurer as well, other members of the NIA Council, most especially the state chapter chairman here, my chairman, Architect Biodu Fatui, and I think the Plateau State chapter chairman, and my noble Professor Evelyn, the speaker. Now, permit me, please, just to say Alhamdulillah 3 times. Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah. Why I'm saying this? Because the genesis of KADAF, I was instrumental to it. And when we talk about architect Danjuma Ageni, the first KADAF, we did it together. And I'm glad. You see, that's why I say give thanks to God 3 times. You look at the first one, you look at the second one, you look at the third one. And that's what we're supposed to be doing, to grow together. Because as a past chairman of Lagos State Chapter, I was able to host, at least from 11th edition to the 14th edition. And my present chairman has done the 15th edition. And by the grace of God, we will continue to host, to make it continue, and we spend many, many more years. Same with other chapters as well, maybe in a different nomenclature. Oasis, Abuja, you know, this is the beauty of architects. If I tell you what the Architects Forum in Lagos has produced today, is great. We have a building control agency. This emanated from, you know, the forum. We have what we call accredited certifier, where the government has got less capacity in monitoring building, in doing all sorts of things, and is the architects that anchored it today. So I really appreciate you, Kaduna State Chapter, and having witnessed and had the privilege of witnessing the first, the second, the third. Definitely, I know we're going places, and I wish you all to have, you know, a successful deliberation. And also, the other comment there, please. Yes, we had the problem in Lagos before. There's this dichotomy between the public sector and the private sector. Let's get more of the public sector here, because it's with them that when we push this thing out, the governor or the government listen. And with their help, we're able to achieve what we're discussing. Thank you very much, and God bless you all.
Thank you very much from Architect David Majekodumi. I also say Alhamdulillah. Now we get the chair of the Lagos NIA Lagos chapter, Architect Biodu Fatui. Chair, Lagos State.
Madam President, the first Vice President, President-elect of the Nigerian Society of Architects, all members of the NIA Council here present, Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to also recognize the presence of the Emir, Royal Father for the day. And I'll just read my very short speech that I just typed out on my phone to save us time. On behalf of all members of the Nigerian Institute of Architects, Lagos State Chapter, I extend my heartfelt congratulations to all members of the Kaduna State Chapter of the NIA. I also extend my heartfelt congratulations to all the participants and the distinguished members of the architectural community of Nigeria in this third edition of the Kaduna State Architects Forum 2025. The theme, Building a Resilient Future, Architecture, Risk, and Sustainability in Kaduna, is both timely and visionary, which is what this forum is supposed to address. As our cities and communities face the growing challenges of climate change, rapid urbanization, and social economic shifts, the role of architecture in shaping sustainable and resilient environment is more critical and cannot be overemphasized. Kaduna, with its rich cultural heritage and strategic position in the northern Nigeria, stands at a pivotal movement. The dialogue and innovations that will emerge from this forum have the potential to influence not just the skylines of Kaduna, but the well-being and future readiness of the people of Kaduna, which I think I can claim to be one of them because I also had my primary school education here in Kaduna. It's a homecoming for me. I would like to commend the chapter and most especially the executives of Kaduna State Chapter, ably led by the chairman and of course the able vice chairman who is going to be the incoming chairman, for providing this important platform of collaboration, knowledge, exchange, and strategic thinking. I pray, inshallah, that this gathering will spark actionable insights, strength, partnership, and inspire the most important, the generation coming behind us, the next generation of architects who will design with purpose, foresight, and integrity. I pray that this forum will continue to blossom and leave all of us, and outlive all of us by God's grace. I wish a successful, impactful, and future-focused forum. It will also interest you that the Lagos State Chapter is very, very involved with KADAF. And it's because at a forum in Lagos, we had architect Danjuma represent the current chair. And it was a discussion. How do we replicate this in our state? It makes us very proud to be here, to look at this as a competitor for life will be our greatest joy. We want it to grow, and we want to have more of this across board, more competition across the state chapters, and then we'll have a healthy NIE. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you very much, Lagos Chair. And one thing that's been recurring decimal, that, I said it before, when 2.0 was ending last year, I said I noticed that men of this institute are, and women of course, are very humble people, very meek. They like things and they don't, extend themselves too much. They don't overdo themselves. And you see it again. People keep telling you that, okay, we have come and we've seen something that we've added to another building block to what we're doing. And that's really very great. He just finished speaking about healthy competition right now. And I'm sure with that we'll be growing. Let me just pause a little while, take this very small opportunity to let us know that we have some companies that work with architects that are around with us here in KADAF 3.0. We have Queensway Aluminium. They deal with roofing sheets. I'm sure you all know about them. If you want to discuss with them, they are available behind the stage there. We also have Etex Nigerite. They are here with us. We have CB Granite. We have Biega Paint. We have medics for the underserved. Nomadic, they are called. They give out, my colleague talked about you if you want your vitals checked, those very few details, you want to know your blood pressure and all of that. We have them behind there. There is a company called Pro Blind. They are also here with us. You can take a look at them. Pro Design is also here. And Amosil West Africa. These ones, and there's a lady here who came with some fabrics. Very beautiful one. I've been eyeing a couple of fabrics. So when we finish, before you people rush there, I'll be there ahead of time. In other words, these are people who are collaborating with us and to be with us here. So please make sure you visit them, discuss with them, and maybe do a collaboration with them. Coming next with his own goodwill message is the chairman of the Katsina State chapter, architect Kamaluddin Dahiru. He's coming up to give us his own goodwill message. He's very prominent. He was here in 2.0. I saw him last year. I was trying to make some friends with him. Maybe we'll finish our discussion from last year. Help me welcome him here with a beautiful round of applause. Keep clapping until he gets here. Keep clapping until he gets here. Architect, thank you for coming.
Assalamu alaikum. Let me sit on the existing protocol as Madam President said. The goodwill message that is coming from Katsina. Katsina actually was the father of Kaduna State. And when I say what the father of Kaduna State was the mother, if you see most of the architects, when they call incoming president to come and deliver his message, the next person they call was from Katsina, and the person that introduced them was from Katsina. So Kaduna State chapter is doing well. And we hope to invite them to Katsina so that we will do the same to them. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Katsina State Chapter, for the fatherly message. Next is the Chair Student Affairs, Architect John Bauer, very important member of the NIA Exco. Yes, it's also Chair. Yes, Chair, the Pearl President has drawn my attention, even though it's actually here. Let's take the Chair, Student Affairs, Architect John Bauer. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Our dear beloved President of the Nigerian Institute of Architects, a dearly beloved mommy, who has brought a lot of beauty and sanity to the family of architecture. Thank you very much for being a very dear mommy. Sincerely, permit me to add that sometimes I wonder where she gets her strength, and she's nearly everywhere. Ma, God will bless you, and God will reward you. The incoming president, a very perfect gentleman, I love and I respect. Thank you for being a worthy model to many of us, the younger ones. The member of the council here present, all members of the council here present, we recognize and celebrate you. His Royal Highness, Arankede Desa, thank you very much for sending us a worthy representative. Permit me to also key in from what Architect David Majekodumi said, because I was so privileged to be on that table that the Lagos chapter chair was referring to when Architect Nanjuma and a couple of us from LAF were discussing replicating something similar in Kaduna. And as God will have it and divine providence will have it, I was also here at the maiden edition of KADAF. And today it is with great joy and excitement to see it growing. So much so that today we can even have Madam President and very distinguished architects and personalities like this. Permit me to also say that on behalf of the students, the chapter chair of Kaduna, and of course, every other chapter chair I see here, I can see my dearly beloved big brother, Architect Olukoya, the chair of Plateau State, Architect Kamal too that has just spoken, Lagos chair. Sincerely, what you are doing with our students is commendable. And we thank you so much. I make bold to say the larger population that is even gathered here are students. And this is a good sign that we are truly building resilient future. Because this future are with these students. And we thank you so very much for giving us space to express ourselves. And we want to assure you that with this investment on these students, you will not regret giving them this opportunity. So we commend the chapter chair of Kaduna, NIA, a very fine gentleman, very humble to the core. And thank you so very much for ensuring that students are always part of your programs. May the good Lord continue to bless you, bless this chapter, and we look forward to also having you soon on the 4th of November in Niger State. You know we are neighbors and we are always supporting each other. We will be marking our 40th anniversary too since the inception of the NIA in Niger State chapter. So my chapter chair has asked that I also represent him and cordially invite you. Madam President, for one, will be there. The incoming president will be there. So I don't know why you will not be there. All of you have to be there. Thank you very much, and God bless you indeed.
Thank you very much for the goodwill message and the invitation. Next goodwill message from the Chair, Plateau State Chapter, Architect Shegun Olukoya, FNIA. Architect Shegun Olukoya, FNIA, the Chair, Plateau State Chapter. Let's appreciate Architect Shegun Olukoya, who has, I'm sure, been here throughout the KADAF series, I think. Good afternoon.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Madam President, our Royal Father, our incoming President, all members of the NIA Council, President Akon, all special guests and students and everyone that is here. I bring us greetings from Plateau State. I want to thank God for KADAF 3.0. I was here last year, and sincerely, we are very proud of the Kaduna State chapter. Yes, thank you. And I also want to appreciate Professor Evelyn for a well-delivered paper. In fact, our platform is almost exploding, because we're sending reports on the platform. My encouragement, my dear Chair Kaduna, a perfect gentleman, is for us to, yes, we thank God for all the students, but there are younger architects that Madam President is very concerned about. Some of them are not registered, some of them are, but they are very strong, very resilient, and many of them are outside the institute. We need to concentrate on them because we are trying to build a future. So you must go after them, because if you can get them and get their energy, you are going to really build a very resilient future. So once again, we celebrate you and we wish you well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And as we round up, there is a key message we definitely need to get that is from the Nigerian Society of Engineers, and the representative, Engineer S.S. Yam, will take his goodwill message. And please be informed, all of those who were given ballot papers, the polling booth has closed. Please submit the ballot papers to the collation person. That is just in case you still have it with you. Engineer S.S. Inyam, you're welcome.
Thank you very much. President NIA, our royal father of the day, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here representing the chairman, Nigerian Society of Engineers, Engineer Samson Bauer. He would have been here, but other exigencies took him away. The theme of the conference is apt, very apt, and I'd like to thank the speaker too for doing a very well job to the paper she presented. But it will be good for us to take away lessons from the conference. Make sure we have steps to ensure whatever we deliberate here is put into place. In line with this, I'd like to appreciate the chairman, NIA Kaduna branch chapter, because we have this strong collaboration with KASUBDA, the Urban Planning Development Agency. We meet on 2 month intervals, and other allied professionals are involved, builders, quantity surveyors, engineers. I think it's a good forum where every decision from this conference can be put forward for implementation. So the theme of the conference is apt, and I like the collaboration. We have allied professionals in Kaduna with KASUBDA, and I would like to use that forum to please make sure we put all these things in place so that we can move forward and implement these things in Kaduna. As the speaker said, Kaduna should be a leading agency, and I'm sure we can do that, and we will do that. Thank you very much once again for everything.
Thank you very, very much, Your Royal Highness, Madam President, very senior members here present, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to thank you very, very much for your patience. Even though we were slightly behind schedule, we sort of like caught up. We are rounding off the opening/morning session right now. We hope to be reconvening at 2. Right now, we'll take a break and go take some tea. If you are someone like me who likes swallow, this is not for you. This is for tea. You make your own plans for your swallow. But we just stretch our legs and prepare and take advantage of the presence of our marketers, our colleagues, our collaborators that we talked about earlier on. And we have our ushers in the house, the ESCO members and those in charge who lead our very special guests to the table there for the tea that will be taken before every other member joins up. But we'll be taking a break right now, and we'll be reconvening at 2 o'clock by the grace of God. And when we reconvene, we'll be taking our lecture, Slum Upgrading in Kaduna, Participatory Approaches to Affordable Housing. One of the very major things that we'll be looking at. And that's a lecture that will be delivered by Kabal James Kaltu. And other things. You want to add some?
Just to re-emphasize that, yes, we are going for the break now. On both wings, you can see the provisions for the break, for the refreshments. However, our guests on the high table or on the front row will definitely be going to the reserved area for their own entertainment. And we do still need to, because we planned to stick as much as possible to the time, but we're constrained. Hopefully this is not one extension that leads to any liquidated damages or anything. So it's just something that has happened, but very, very productively. Everybody has actually gained from the time we have had. So we can now all disperse for the break, reconvene by 2:30, actually, 2:15. 2:15. There might be a message. Okay, the high table will be going to the VIP space. That will be guided by the ushers. Please kindly, all those on the high table to the VIP space. Thank you very much.
So the ushers will be taking our very special guests, our very important personalities to the VIP room. They know where that is. And our ushers, please organize the hall to the different tables. We'll organize it so that everybody gets. Meanwhile, it's time to network. It's time to meet people, share ideas, ask questions. And just to let you know, too, that we have Queensway Aluminium in the house. There is Etex Nigerite. There is CB Granite. There is Berger Paint. Medics for the unreserved. You can go check your blood pressure, your sugar level, and all of that. There is Pro Blind. We also have Pro Design. There's Armor Silk, West Africa. All of these people are available at the back. Share ideas. Students, you can meet architects one-on-one now. Ask any question you have. You have any ideas you want to share with them, you can do so. But don't forget, we reconvene at 2 o'clock. We have conveniences at the entrance to the hall. Conveniences at the entrance to the hall. Thank you very much. See you later on at 2 o'clock. DJ, something soft and easy for us. I hope we have people. Hello. I hope we have people coordinating, maintain an orderly line. Maintain an orderly line. There's a line there. I see students, please follow the order, follow the line. Let's do this orderly, please.
Architectural design is the art and the practice of conceptualizing, planning, and creating buildings and other structures, blending technical skills with creative vision to meet users' needs. This process involves analyzing clients' requirements in Nigeria. The vision to attain excellence in the creative management of the physical environment and to mobilize members of the Nigerian Institute of Architects, NIA, for national development has remained vital to the nation's growth. Established in November 1972, the Nigerian Institute of Architects, Kaduna State Chapter, was inaugurated as the North Central State Chapter.
Kaduna State Chapter was created with the sole aim of bringing together architects on a platform where they can interact and also create a platform where they can exercise a kind of framework where they can be influential in impacting policy of government when it comes to architecture, building, urban development, and town planning.
NIA was basically Lagos before we later moved to Abuja. That's with the coming of Abuja as the capital of Nigeria. So, and Lagos, Abuja, of course, you know the distance and so on. So having Kaduna State Chapter has helped to decentralize. So with Kaduna State Chapter, we're able to coordinate our own activities, you understand, and then forward whatever to the national.
Chapter started 11th November 1972 as the North Central State Chapter. There was no Kaduna State then. It was North Central State. That was in 1972 with a membership of 24. The purpose is just to mobilize membership for service. Since the national has started since 1960, and they felt architects are coming up around here, so there's need for them to come together, and then so that they can offer service in line with the constitution of the institute.
For over 3 decades, different executives have led the affairs of the NIA Kaduna State Chapter. Some members of the institute have served in various capacities as directors, permanent secretaries, commissioners, vice chancellors, legislators, deputy governors, and even as vice president of Nigeria.
The main aim of KADAF, that's the Kaduna Architects Forum, is a forum whereby we bring together, as we are progressing now, architects, not just architects, other members of the allied professionals, the builders, the town planners, the urban designers, the stakeholders, the manufacturing industries, together. How can we have a voice where we can create, influence policy decision making? And closely with what we have that is the idea. We want to create a forum whereby our voices can be heard in Kaduna State. We can influence some of these policies. Kaduna Architects Forum is a deliberate action. It's a deliberate action. I use the word deliberate because it's key to whatever we're doing and whatever we have done so far and whatever we're going to do in the future.
A lot of people think when you say architecture or you say Kaduna Architects Forum, it's just about architects alone. Architects meaning just people in the building industry, built environment, meaning buildings, and that's it. But when you say Architects Forum, we have the landscape architects, we have the interior architects, we have the people, the manufacturers of building materials as well. It's a place where everybody else matters and counts, and we want to show people that, okay, it's not just about the building itself, there's so much more. And together we can collaborate and create resilient environments.
Since the inception of the NIA in 1972, in 2022 we celebrated 50 years of architectural evolution in Kaduna State. And during that platform, when we had that celebration, we had engaged in discussions concerning where we were in the past and where we are at the present, and what we need to do in terms of creating frameworks that will ensure that there is quality construction of buildings in Kaduna State, not only residential buildings, but including institutional buildings and general urban infrastructure. So we had a very robust discussion, and we were able to, during that celebration of 50 years of architecture in Kaduna State, we were able to discuss so many things as it relates to architecture. And especially, we also look at the welfare of architects, especially with the challenges that we have in the economy.
When we don't have architects on ground, people can just decide to put up buildings anyhow. And now with the profession, they have other bodies that have come up to ensure that you don't just build anyhow. So that they tell you there are guidelines on if you want to build some certain kind of houses. There are guidelines you need to follow to ensure that you achieve what you want to build. You don't just go and start building anyhow. For example, if you go to Abuja, there are areas you are expected not to build. The number of floors should not be less than maybe 4 floors. You shouldn't build below 4 floors. But if you don't know, you can just go, you just buy a land and you want to just put up a bungalow. The organization that is in charge will come and tell you, no, stop. For this particular area, your building should not be less than 4 floors.
In the year 2021, the executives of KADAF launched the first edition of KADAF 1.0. A local organizing committee was formed to ensure the success of the event.
3 years ago, KADAF 1.0 started off in Kaduna, and it was a very good outing whereby practicing architects, students, professionals, and government workers too all came together to look at Kaduna and see how the architecture professionals all came together, and we started looking at the fundamentals of what has been, what it is, and then start looking into what we can put across in terms of the construction industry, particularly architecture, all around about Kaduna's environs. And it was quite exciting. Made in Addiction 1.0.
KADAF 1.0 is more on the cityscape, because when you look at the regime of Malam Nasser El-Rufai, he went about, bringing out what real urban area is supposed to look like. So if you go around Kaduna State, you will really see great transformation. We believe we've been able to achieve that. Architects were carried along, because if you look at what Murtala Square is, you go in and compare with Murtala Square in the 80s and 90s. There's a great, the difference is enormous, and then you still go around the shopping malls we have. We have ShopRite, which used to
Architectural design is the art and the practice of conceptualizing, planning, and creating buildings and other structures, blending technical skills with creative vision to meet users' needs. This process involves analyzing clients' requirements in Nigeria. The vision to attain excellence in the creative management of the physical environment and to mobilize members of the Nigerian Institute of Architects (NIA) for national development has remained vital to the nation's growth. Established in November 1972, the Nigerian Institute of Architects, Kaduna State Chapter, was inaugurated as the North Central State Chapter.
Kaduna State Chapter was created with the sole aim of bringing together architects on a platform where they can interact and also create a platform where they can exercise a kind of framework where they can be influential in impacting policy of government when it comes to architecture, building, urban development, and town planning.
NIA was basically Lagos before we later moved to Abuja. That's with the coming of Abuja as the capital of Nigeria. So, and Lagos, Abuja, of course, you know the distance and so on. So having Kaduna State Chapter has helped to decentralize. So with Kaduna State Chapter, we're able to coordinate our own activities, you understand, and then forward whatever to the national.
Chapter started 11th November 1972 as the North Central State Chapter. There was
architecture in 1983. Our NYC was in 1983-84, having been posted to the then Bendel State. She was lucky to be deployed to the physical department of the University of Benin. The main campus was still in the early stage of development. Aside being assigned some minor design responsibilities in the office, she also attended site meetings along with her supervising architect. More complex projects such as faculty buildings and hostels, which were being handled by consultants like many of our peers. Ibinkule's professional exposure and over 38 years career in public service started when she gained employment into the Federal Civil Service in October 1985. She was deployed to the Ministry of Defense in Lagos then, and then subsequently posted to the Building and Engineering Services Department as Architect Grade 1. The department, which later became part of the Joint Services Department, was responsible for various building infrastructure projects of the joint services. Most of the projects were large and complex in nature. They were mainly being handled by some of our early generation of consulting architectural firms. Therefore, working with them not only provided a good training ground in project management, but also imposed a huge responsibility on the project team because of the opportunity to attend high-level site and technical meetings as client representative and prepare reports for consideration by management at the highest level. There were simpler sundry projects such as barracks, housing schemes, and schools that were handled by the in-house project team, of which she was part of at different ranks and in various capacities, from the project inception through to completion. As Assistant Director in 2005, Architect Ibinkule transferred her service to the Federal Capital Development Authority, Abuja, FCDA. She was posted to the Department of Public Building, where she was assigned project coordinator, social services projects. Her team worked closely with the relevant mandate secretariat at FCTA department to initiate and deliver some key projects such as establishing orphanage homes in Gwagwalada and Sabon Lugbe, and fire service stations for Asokoro and Otaku districts. Akitebekule was redeployed from FCDA to FCTA Health and Services Secretariat in 2007 to head their works division, which was responsible for establishing and maintaining all healthcare infrastructure in the FCT, in line with the administration's priority, while working at the Health and Human Services Secretariat. Some of the key achievements of her team on behalf of the management include mobilizing and supervising our in-house team of technical staff to liaise with relevant departments to obtain briefs, identify wards in need, and commence from design to contract procurement and award processes. Subsequently, establish PHCs across FCT area councils and initiate in-house or work with consultants to establish district secondary to tertiary hospitals in Zuba, Gwagwalada, Karu, and Otaku. These contributions helped improve access to healthcare services in the FCT. In 2016, during the administration of Malan Nasser Ahmed El Rufai, Architect Fausat Ibimkunle was appointed General Manager Kasubda, position later designated as Director General, following the passage of the Kaduna Urban Law in 2018. Her mandate included the repositioning of the Planning Authority for better service delivery in line with the various reforms embarked upon by the administration at that time. Some of the key achievements of Kasubda under her leadership include operationalizing the monitoring and compliance department by recruiting and injecting other professionals into the system, which hitherto consisted more than 95% town planners. Therefore, more architects, structural engineers, assistants, builders, and services engineer became part the planning approval process without having to seek assistance from outside. The authority also embarked on strengthening existing or developing new urban planning tools to make the process seamless. Regulations to guidelines in conformity with the National Building Code and standard billing templates were developed. Front desk office for submission of building plans approval application was introduced to minimize the dumping of incomplete documents while holding on to acknowledge copies of application submission as licensed to start construction on site. The Kaduna State Ministry of Housing and Urban Development was established through the Kaduna State Ministry's restructuring notice number 1 in 2019, and architect Fausat Ibikunle was appointed by the then governor as the Pioneer Commissioner in July 2019, a position she held until the end of the administration in May 2023. In line with this mandate, the ministry under her leadership successfully developed a corporate plan for its sector, covering MHUD and the agencies under its supervision, which were Kasubda, KSDPC, CADFARMA. The Kaduna State Urban Development and Housing Policy was developed and approved by the Executive Council. The provision of social housing scheme was initiated and construction commenced on pilot schemes in the 3 senatorial zones. The mandate of the ministry also included the provision of public institutional buildings. Notable achievements were recorded in building infrastructure, in the education and health sectors, as well as major administrative buildings across the state. Architect Ibikunle is currently a director at Ari Consulting Limited and an active member of the Nigerian Institute of Architects. She was elevated to the class of fellow in 2005 and was also one-time member of the National Executive Council for a cumulative period of about 10 years. She is also a proud recipient of the National Productivity Award. I present to you Architect Fausat Adebola Ibikunle, FNIE. I'll call on our past minister, Architect Musa Sada, to please do us the honor to present her this award, the Celebrity Architect.
Please put your hands together.
Yeah, it's an honor well deserved. Yes, Architect Fausat Adebola Ibikunle, a visionary champion of design excellence for outstanding and innovative contributions to national architectural practice. So here presented, and congratulations. It's well deserved. Well deserved. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Madam President, Nigerian Civil Architects, members of the Executive Council of the Nigerian Civil Architects, the chairman of the Kaduna State Chapter of the Nigerian Civil Architects, fellows of the Nigerian Civil Architects, other senior colleagues that are here present, students and ladies and gentlemen. Honestly, this is really humbling because I don't know, or I didn't realize that what was considered for me to be worthy of this award, but I'm very, very happy, and I really appreciate it. When I saw the letter, I saw celebrity architect. I was like, celebrity, you know? I mean, I thought I was being equated with the Zaha Hadid's of this world, or Norman Foster, the rest of them. But on a more serious note, I am very happy that I'm considered for this award. I don't take it for granted at all, and it is really, really appreciated. So I thank you very much. The Nigerian Architects, thank you for this recognition. Thank you.
Please put your hands together for her one more time. Yeah, I think we're ready to take the very last thing we'll be taking for today. If you look at what's left of our program, at least for today, we've really walked over and over it. We'll be taking lecture that's supposed to be lecture number 3, and it has been moved forward right now. And lecture 3 is promoting innovative architectural futures in Nigeria, enhancing the use of technology, AI, and smart systems in practice. And of course, we'll be calling on AI Mustafa of A2 Design Workshop in Abuja, who's going to be presenting this paper. Please help me put your hands together for him. And let me, on behalf of Madam President and members of the EXCO, thank you for your patience of being here. And I'm sure it will be worth it. Once again, put your hands together for the lecturer.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm sorry I missed the President's advice earlier on protocols, but I would do as everybody thereafter said. I would like to adopt the existing protocols and get ahead with my slides. Thank you all very much for sitting here to listen to me this afternoon. I will be talking about promoting innovative architectural features in Nigeria, enhancing the use of technology, AI, and smart systems in practice. It's just the slides I'm worried about. Okay, so the theme for this year's KADAF is Building Resilient Future, Architecture, Risk, and Sustainability in Kaduna. And it's basically two questions for me. How do we design for tomorrow, today? And there's a lot of answers, not necessarily right or wrong ones. And the second one is also, should the future buildings be smarter than our traffic lights? Just by a show of hands, how many of us think that our traffic lights are smart? The regular traffic lights we stop at. How many of us think they're smart? Okay, thank you. So I will give you a Nigerian context. As at last night, early this morning, when I was looking at the figures, Nigeria is estimated to be at about 238 million, maybe 239 million. And that's about 2.89% of the world. That's Nigerian. So it's about 3 people in every 100 in the world are Nigerians. I think that's a huge number if you look at it on a large scale. But when we bring that back down to Kaduna, you would see that Kaduna is estimated about 9 million, or we can say 10 million, given that we have about 140-something thousand to go, which is about 4.13% of the nation's population. Again, that means that 5 in every 100 Nigerians lives in Kaduna State, at the least. And about 1.85 million are in the metropolis, the urban areas, being mostly Kaduna City and Zaria City. What does this mean? That means that there's some shortage of housing. As we know, globally, there's about 2.8 billion people that don't have access to adequate housing. When you think about Africa, it's 50 to 53 million housing units shortage. And in Nigeria, at least, we think it's around 28 million housing units that we're short of. There's no clear data on Kaduna, but recently, sometime in November 2023, the government announced a drive towards 10,000 mass housing units. And the FHA is also piloting about 500 units on 157 hectares of land. So as I'm taking you, it's how the population is growing, and we know it's also going to continue growing. But that means there's an increased pressure on infrastructure, there's an increased pressure on housing, there's an increased pressure on services, supply, demands. And beyond anything, nothing exists without the requirement for infrastructure, which is where we as architects really, really dwell. And if you look at sometime in 2024, the local rapid assessment showed that there was about 9,600 individuals that were displaced during repeated floods in Kaduna with over-damaged mud areas and mud houses. So, you know, as architects, we then have to start focusing on site-specific flood risk mapping, use raised plains, reinforced footings, or other form of buildings to shield people from these challenges, as we've seen. So, and you know, the thing is, architects hold a unique position to bridge the gap between heritage and innovation, where we're coming from and how to solve these challenges that we have. But we must, as a practice, as a group, evolve from, you know, fragmented manual processes, and we now move to digitally integrated workflows that allow everybody to be working together towards the same goal, such that there's no repetition and other advantages that we will see down the line in this presentation. What are the current gaps in practice? So how many of us have had a client say, you can do AutoCAD and 3D? How many of us have had a client say that? The client thinks that AutoCAD and 3D are 3 different or 5 or 10 different things, but you know, but I mean, it's showing you how fragmented our current process and systems are. We still work, a lot of firms work in AutoCAD and 3D. I'm sorry, how many of us work in Revit or ArchiCAD? How many of us do BIM, not just Revit or ArchiCAD? How many of us do BIM? Because it's a different thing. So again, that's a fragmented process. You then have to carry on doing BIM. So the current gaps in practice, you know, there's limited use of technology. A lot of us are still on 2D CAD and relying on WhatsApp for client feedback and control and issues in planning. You know, there's huge impact where we lose time on coordination. There's high rework. You have to change a lot of things. There's slow client approvals. You know, there's weak facilities management handover. BIM awareness and adoption. The 2024 BIM report shows that there's 72% awareness of BIM, but there's only 32% adoption. So, and adoption is concentrated mainly in design. 69% and 19% in construction and 12% in facilities management. What does this mean? This means that we miss a lot of clash detection and have to do a lot of on-site troubleshooting in our projects. There's limited 4D and 5D scheduling. There's no life cycle data for operation and maintenance. So you're operating a building, but sometimes you don't even know how many bulbs are in the building. So every time you need to replace, you have to start counting, right? There's minimal automation and AI, very low commercial adoption. There's slow design, which leads to slow design option appraisal. You know, where it takes us quite a long time to produce multiple iterations of a design and to review and appraise those. There's manual performance analysis, and we have weak or smart IoT integration. IoT, we all have, are mostly familiar with the phrase or acronym. So buildings mostly operate inefficiently and no early warnings for whether it's somebody's POP ceiling falling off, somebody's power unit or distribution board or door giving way because you don't know that the life cycle is over. So there's heat loss, there's no resilience. So what are the global lessons we learn? Firstly, can we go to the next slide, please? Thank you. So there's digital twins and clash detection. And as I said earlier, in Nigeria, clash detection mostly happens on site. You're on site and all of a sudden, the piping is running into a beam. Or the one that mostly happens with bungalows or a single upper floor building is that you've done a WC and you're about to mount the WC right where there's a column. So you can't duct it out. And lots of those things that we could earlier detect. There's also issues of AI, generative design and energy optimization. We're still doing buildings where we don't even know the energy they're going to consume. And someone is already ordering 200 LED bulbs. It's already, thankfully we've moved far away from the incandescent bulbs. So maybe now we need to work on the quantity. There's smart systems and IoT and adaptive facades, connecting our water supply, connecting our cooling systems to be aware of when we need the cooling to be on, to be aware of when we need the heat. We don't use heating, so when we want the water pump to send the water to the borehole and many things like that. So there's also global lessons we have to take from, where in Singapore happens to be one of the most densely populated islands in the world. And in 2011, there was 9 floods throughout the year caused by torrential rain. There was also, the Singapore Land Authority now decided it needed to create a 3D model for it to solve the problem. And it started mapping the country using drones and other LiDAR scanners to generate a 3D model of the city. And in 2012, GPS Lands approaches the Singapore Land Authority to say, listen, we can develop a virtual city, the same as what we have, which is now called digital twin. So you have a building or a city or whatever, and you have the exact replica digitally that you can manage. And that helps you predict the challenges the city will likely face as you go down the line. So also there's Kigali. Kigali in 2013 decided to upgrade its master plan, but this time it decided to include Rwandans in the making of the new city. And what it did was to put the whole urban plan on GIS and put it online, so citizens will have access to see what zones there were and how these zones were being planned, and also make their input. So the master plan essentially embraced GIS technologies and enabled transparent planning and zoning. What does this mean for Nigeria? So when we start to think about computing and technology in Nigeria, there's quite a lot of possibilities, 2 of which are being parametric and climate responsive design, and also using artificial intelligence to check for ventilation and shading. The model on the board was essentially generated by me, and it was just about putting a certain question to the computer to ask it what will an urban bus station look like if it was designed in mud earth tones for Nigerians, for northern Nigerians. And if you look closely, you see certain elements, especially in the color and also geometric patterns that have gone in there. But beyond that, you will see some flow of lines. That means that we can essentially evaluate that these models will solve challenges with regards to cooling and ventilation in public buildings. And there's also construction and innovation as a possibility for Nigeria. We can have prefabricated buildings. As you can see, I've also gone down to generate options that look very typical of our own environment if we were to still embrace our heritage. So in business and practice, there's possibility for VR and augmented reality presentations for clients, which means there's now cut down time from client understanding really what you are talking about and what he needs to do and what he wants to have. And at this juncture, I would also like to ask, how many of us have clients that you've spent an hour showing the floor plan and they really don't get what you're talking about? How many of us have that? Okay. How many of us have clients where you send a 3D render and they go like, this is what you've been saying? How many of us? Okay, so I work with ArchiCAD, but I'm going to ask, how many of us have sent a client a 3D model that he can interact with? I know I've done that. You send the 3D model on BMX, and he's able to open it on his phone or iPad, and he's walking through the whole building. How many of us are able to do that? So at that level, you get the client to start telling you, oh no, I really don't like this style you've used. And you're getting him deeply involved in the design component of it. There's also AI-assisted project management. With this, there are unlimited opportunities. You can talk about resource management. You can talk about smart instructions to people. You can talk about workforce optimization, execution, access control points. I remember early last year, I took a course in GIS and AEC integration, where part of the exercises required that you manage access to a certain site, allowing permissions to go through different entry points, which will really help you if you were doing mass projects that were maybe in the center of a city and required some level of traffic control. There's also remote monitoring of sites. So if you integrate technology very well, you might use drones, telematics, Internet of Things to not have to go to sites. And the same way you keep people on site active and you're monitoring them, which means your project will still remain on track wherever you are in the world, right? And those are some of the things we're looking to do. So smart and sustainable futures for Nigeria. We can talk about enabling energy, water systems, resilient urban planning, and one of the most important thing, which is where we've, for me, spent quite a number of effort, but we're still lacking, which is the blending of tradition and modern technology. Okay, so we're up to risk and barriers now. So there's, as with everything, there's risk, there's barriers. Number one is cost of adoption. How much does it cost to build the infrastructure? As a speaker once questioned somewhere, he said, you know, you've put up a beam server and MTN is screwing you up and you don't have money to port to another provider. What happens? There's also the issue of cost of software, cost of platform, cloud storage, different digital infrastructure. There's cost of training. There's cost of, you name it. There's also digital literacy gaps. About 20, 30 minutes ago, we were talking about how to get students to start to leverage technology. And one of the gaps we were talking about is that there's even a shortage of people to train people to use this technology. So it's not just that you want to train students, is that is there the skill set, is there the manpower to train them to do that? And one of which we have not really started focusing on in Nigeria is cybersecurity in smart buildings. You know, because the systems are online and remote, they can be targeted. So I would like to draw quick parallels for us with things that are happening elsewhere in the world. And we've talked about the Singapore example. We've talked about the Kigali example. There's also Konza, which is a city also coming up in Kenya, that they're trying to make a lot of smart infrastructure system and centralized data management and a whole host of other smart things. There's cultural identity and architectural expression, where people are trying to merge modular African innovation with identity. There's contextual ethnic architecture and compact form. Policy and regulation, which is quite crucial as much as we like to underestimate it. You know, there's places where in Singapore there's strong national standards for digital governance. So you have to do it a certain way. The country requires that you do it a certain way. There's planning laws linked to sustainability targets in Kigali. There's National Smart City Directive and other PPP policies. So I'd like to say, for me, the resilient future will not be imported. It will be designed here in Nigeria, and we need to build it together, okay? So what's the step for that? Let's think about Kaduna, for example. We have to self-learn. We have to teach ourselves these things. One of the fastest ways to learn now is you've got access to a lot of knowledge online. Don't waste your time. You can start on your own because it all starts one person at a time, right? So again, as Kaduna State and the chapter, we can start to talk about AEC technology, BIM clinics, CPD on tech, and in AEC. So you don't have to wait for anybody. You can do it in your office. Group yourself. Have a CPD clinic. Someone knows something. Can he teach it to us? What's happening in one of the chapter meetings? Can we spend 30 minutes of those chapter meetings for someone to just show us something they're doing in technology? So also technology and academic partnerships with universities and all other institutions. The fourth item is, what pilot projects can Kaduna pursue in line with this? Some of these things in reality start at a conceptual level. Sooner or later, the value shows up and someone picks it up and it becomes the next big thing. And subscription partnerships, part of the ways we can deal with the cost issue is, can we partner as 3 or 4 firms and approach the software companies and say, listen, we want to buy this license, but we cannot do this at this value. Can we do this? You never know what turns out until you ask, okay? So on the next slide is just mostly looking at the use case scenarios for the challenges we said we have. So when you think about limited technology use, can we have a digitized pilot on project delivery? Maybe one public building, have a cloud folder, have sample project management tools, and drone site surveys. So what are the quick actions we can do? Can we start a project folder? You can do that this month. Can you start a project folder on your cloud? Whatever it is, can you start to integrate your company or firm's processes online? With BIM awareness and adoption, can you use light BIM workflow for small-scale projects or medium-scale projects? Can you run BIM workshops in your office? You can do that, it's in the 1 month. It's 2 days, maybe you do a BIM workshop for your office. And so many other things. But the key here is action, one action at a time, one action at a time. I also like to draw parallels, as we saw with Singapore, Konza, and Kigali. What are the possibilities for Kaduna? Is it possible that Kaduna should develop a smart urban dashboard that integrates BIM, GIS, and IoT sensors for monitoring building permits, drainage, and heat mapping? Can we start to blend Hausa vernacular motifs, Arewa style, all those patterns? Can Kaduna pilot a digital fabrication and smart district project in Kaduna North and Barna, for example, expanding through lessons learned? Can we establish a Kaduna digital fabrication hub to train architects, artisans, and youth in BIM, AI, and fabrication? Because also you have to remember something. It's one thing for something to exist in the reality of the virtual world. It's another thing for it to exist in the reality of the human world. And I think for me, the second is very, very crucial to our growth, and that's where we need to focus on. So, I would just like to ask, perhaps rhetorically, that how are you using technology in your practice? Is that worth review? And at this juncture, I would like to ask, how many quantity surveyors are in the audience, please? Quantity surveyors. Anyone? Okay, so we know them, but I think they're the most laggards when it comes to technology adoption in the AEC sector. I might be wrong, but how many of us have seen any quantity surveyor that has automated his taking off process, even if it's just for the substructure work? Okay, I give you an example. I have a colleague who was doing taking off for 43 or 40-something columns, just substructure work, and he was at it for about a week, simply because he needed to calculate the volume of sand we wanted to excavate. And I said to him, if we sit on the computer, I will have this thing for you in about 25 minutes. And he said, no, he seemed to have doubted. And I'm sorry, but this is basic Excel. This is basic plus times minus stuff we're talking about. And we sat with him. And it seemed 25, 30 minutes. We had the quantities. We had everything. And he was going back to check on his paper. And it was precise. And I said to him, if you do this for 3, 4, 5 projects, you're never going to do it manually in your life. And you're going to do it 10, 15 times faster than anybody ever would. So, how are you already using technology in your practice? Sit down and review that with your team. And what are the quick ways you can solve challenges? I'll give you one example. If you don't implement anything when you leave here today, go back to your firm and figure out, can you have an Excel formula that if you type in the plot size and the allowed percentage to develop, it will automatically give you the area you need to develop? How many of us can do that? Just Excel. Just Excel. Okay, please, when you go back, just figure it out. It's a basic formula. I have a plot 1,000 square meters, and I'm only allowed to develop 40% of it. What's the area I need to develop? So it takes that and gives it to you in square meters. It's simply 40% of the 1,000 square meters, right? But a lot of us have to punch our calculators. Some of us are good with mental maths. You can just say it's 400 square meters. You wait until you have something like 3,139 point something square meters, then you start rambling around. So I think that it's high time we implemented really basic stuff. The second question I want to ask is, what does a smart Kaduna resilient project look like? Just a pilot project. what can Kaduna do that is a pilot project that will be smart, that will be resilient, that will apply the basic or fundamental levels of technology? So for me, that's it for today, and thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much. Another round of applause for Ahmed Al-Mustafa. I think there are many adjectives you could use to describe this presentation. A lot of them, you know. And he just took everybody unawares and just stopped right in the middle of a presentation that everybody was just, you know, enjoying. This is great. This is several ideas just following back to back, coming after each other, possibilities, ideas, and thoughts. And he's saying he's going back to Abuja. I think we're going to keep you back in Kaduna for some time, so you better call them and tell them.
Madam President, I have a confession to make. We had agreed that when he starts his presentation, we're supposed to be timing him and all of that. I was so engrossed in his presentation, I forgot to time. That was brilliant. Please, another round of applause for him.
The Speaker's Appreciation Award will be given, and it's extremely well earned. I'm sure you will all agree. Will be presented now and will be introduced by Architect Samuel Kwachi.
I'll call on Madam President to do us the honor of presenting this award to Ahmed Al-Mustafa.
What a presentation. Let me say I'm very proud of you, and you're the future that we're really looking up to. I saw you stand up there. You took a deep breath. You mumbled some words to yourself. I want you to know I was studying you. Took courage. Took off like a plane. Cruised. Landed in style. Let's clap for him. It's my privilege because I like to celebrate young people that are sharp, young people that we have confidence will take us up. And I hope you've learned about the Young Architects Forum. Are you a member? You joined today. So this Speaker Appreciation Award is presented to Ahmed Al-Mustafa in appreciation of your valuable, thought-provoking insights that have advanced understanding and opened new perspectives. Your contributions have enriched the conference and inspired the architecture community. Congratulations.
Once more, we appreciate Ahmed Al-Mustafa. Thank you very much. Round of applause as he goes. It gives you a lot of pleasure and, you know, good expectations that ideas like that are coming on through. It has indeed been a very engrossing, and I dare say a very fitting end to today's session. Well, the session hasn't ended officially. We will be having a vote of thanks from the chairman of the LOC, Architect Danjuma Ageni. Round of applause for the man who has actually walked around the clock, both clockwise and counterclockwise. He has ensured that everything works. And as much as there is a team, the LOC made up of about 26 members, but the chairman has surely led from the front. He has made sure that everything runs. And even as we are on stage and as everything is going on, he continues to work. The chairman, please come up on stage. Architect Danjuma Ageni. KADAF 3.0 started today, has taken off and has gained momentum. Tomorrow, you should buckle your belts and fasten whatever you need to, because KADAF 2.0 will pick up a lot of speed before the end of the day. Our chairman, please, a round of applause to the chairman LOC, Architect Danjuma Ageni.
Thank you very much. Let me still stand and adopt all existing protocols. I want to use this medium and this time to thank all our invited guests for staying with us. We apologize, we have exceeded our time from our program, but I believe it was worth the waiting. Tomorrow promises to be interesting. One of our major topics for the KADAF 3.0 is the slum upgrade in Kaduna State. Participatory approaches to affordable housing in Kaduna State. That will be one of our major papers for tomorrow. One of the first. We employ us all to find time. We promise that 10 o'clock sharp a.m. we'll be starting the program, and we'll be starting with that. The facilitator just came back from France and presented at the International Federation of Landscape Architects. We'll be having him do justice for us tomorrow. I want to thank you, former minister. Thank you, Madam President, incoming President. I want to thank our female celebrity architect, Architect Wukunle. I want to thank Architect Adiza and all fellows present, all members, our friends all the way from Lagos, Plateau, Niger. We thank you all. We promise that tomorrow will be more interesting. We'll have more interesting sessions. Thank you very much, and God bless us all.
Thank you very much. Just a quick message, and this came from the office of Madam President. You know, for those who did not know, Madam President made a tour around the quote-unquote facility. She went around seeing things. In fact, she had a talk with FAN, the female architects of Nigeria. She strolled into their meeting, gave them a few pep talks. And as she was going on, she was quite impressed. She saw a stand that is operated by a lady, and she saw beautiful fabrics and bags, of course. And I think she picked a couple of things, and she was so impressed and said because she wants her architects, especially the male architects, to look good. She has said that it's good for every male architect before you leave here to take a trip to that place. Look at fabrics and see what you can pick, and maybe pick up a bag for your wife or something. The only part of the message I don't understand is whether she will be the one to pay for it or... But I just delivered the message. Make sure you take a trip there and see. Thank you very, very much. As our prayer, let's be on our feet and recite the pledge. At least everybody knows the pledge, right? Let's be on our feet as our closing prayer. Before then.
The chairman Kaduna State chapter has reminded me to call on all the fellows of the Nigerian Institute of Architects present that there will be a dinner with Madam President at Hotel 17 shortly. Maybe from here, all the fellows, I'm sure it's in a platform group, but for our visitors, all the fellows will be having a dinner this evening with Madam President and our entourage all the way from Abuja. Thank you very much. 6:30, 7 o'clock.
All right. Architect Daroda, are we good? We're good to go? Because I see you have been briefed. Is there something we need to know? We're good. All right. So, as our final prayer for today, we'll do the national pledge. Are we good? 1, 2, 3, go. I pledge to Nigeria, my country. All right, so you just made a pledge to Nigeria. Please make sure that you defend Nigeria in every way you find yourself. Thank you so much. Tomorrow, by the grace of God, is another date. Come in early. We are going to be moving full speed ahead tomorrow, by the grace of God. Thank you so much. Congratulations to all the awardees, all of those who had something. Thank you for coming to receive. If you are given a plaque, if it is possible for us to share, you and I, please, let's share. Thank you. God bless. Thank you, audio team, technical team.